The following program does not have a normal intro because I was really too busy smoothing other things over to get it done. So, Ori? Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Viewers Discretion. I'm your host, Joe Newman, aka Good Lawgic. Not really Viewers Discretion. Today is a Christmas special because apparently, like when you're in syndication and you have a hot running show or whatever it is, you need to do a Christmas special. So this is my version of the Good Lawgic Christmas special. Merry Christmas, everyone. There should be snow falling in the background in order for this to be like actually like legitimate, in order for it to be like something that's real. Otherwise, it's not a real Christmas special, because apparently in TV land, it's always snowing on Christmas and never any other time. Unless, like, it's filmed in like in, Northern Exposure or some sort of Great White North type of thing. They might have some sort of episode, I guess, where there's like, there's snowbound in, but even that usually end up being some sort of Christmas special type of thing. Christmas specials in general, no offense if you were a fan of them. When I was growing up, I was not a fan of the Christmas special. Whatever sitcom it was that had a Christmas special, it was always, well, first of all, you knew the final punchline was not going to be a punchline. It was just going to be some sort of heartwarming message, so I'm really feeling like I'm being robbed out of a joke right there at the end, right? Whatever it is, you're being robbed out of at least one joke at the end there. Well, anyhow, I hope that your weekend and your holidays are going well. Whether you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, whether you pretend that Kwanzaa is a real thing or some other made-up holiday like Itchy Moo Moo, whatever it is, I hope it's happy for you. So, I think I got that out of the way. But what I realized is that there are people this time of year, they say, I don't know, because I don't actually interact with people in real life, but they say people are like more depressed this time of year because, I guess they look at their lives, or they look at their lack of their family situation that they're not happy with, and they're particularly bummed. And then that makes sense. It's logical. So I don't know if I'm able to actually help anyone at all. I don't know. But if I am, someone wants to talk or whatever it is, just unload. Tonight is the night I'm doing that. That's what I basically said. This is my Christmas special. I'm going to be an ear for up to 10 minutes. Let's not get crazy here. So I'm not going to give you like, an hour and a half, but yeah, for up to 10 minutes, I think that's a reasonable amount of time for someone to get stuff off their chest. And maybe sometimes it'll go longer. That's a good amount of time, right? That's a good amount of time. By the way, I am supposedly streaming to X tonight. I don't know if that's actually true. Supposed to be streaming to X. Am I streaming to X? I am streaming to X. Look at this. 19 viewers on X. Wow. Craziness. This is my first time. I found the stream to X button in StreamYard. So there you go. New destination. Hello out there in Xland. Okay. So the number to call if you are interested in calling, if you want to get something off your mind, you want to get something off your chest, the number to call is 972-454-0703. Before I do that, let me just add this in here. There's a couple of things I need to do to take care of that, so you guys will actually hear the folks who call. Otherwise, it's very one-sided conversation, and you guys are going to be, what's she saying? That's not good. Okay, so I got to share my screen here for a moment. You can call in at 972-454-0703. That's 972-454-0703. And anyone who just needs to like get something off their chest, what I would appreciate seriously is, I get very embarrassed when people, sometimes I find in these phone calls, people end up like being very complimentary to me, and it really just makes me feel uncomfortable. So please appreciate the warmth of intent and seriousness behind the sentiment, but it's not necessary.
Call from
Neil V. Radio.
Oh, look at that.
Press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Oh, I'm totally going to say, oh. See? You see? That comes up. That comes up. Yeah, you got to turn off the echo in the back there, brother. So that comes up as Neil V Radio because he's someone who's actually in my phone, and now he knows how I store him in my phone as V Radio, Neil V Radio, because otherwise,
you're Joe Good Logic in my phone.
There you go. There you go. That works. If you use my last name, if you use Neiman, you'd be like, I don't know who the hell that is. So anyway, so Merry Christmas.
How you doing, man? Yeah, well, I was curious about that. So why is it? Well, how could you do Christmas?
What does that mean? How can I believe it or not? We have to breathe and eat all 365 days a year. It doesn't matter whether you call one of those days Christmas. So what do you mean? How can I do Christmas?
Well, no, I guess it was just like, wouldn't it be Hanukkah? I don't know the difference with you guys.
Oh yeah, no. So we don't celebrate Christmas. Jews don't celebrate Christmas. I'll take donations from people like Eric Winberg who say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and I say thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate that. So no,
right.
we as Jews, I don't even know what it means to celebrate a holiday in Christian terms. I guess for Christmas some people go to mass or have a Yule log type of thing. Maybe having a Christmas tree would be considered, or Christmassy decorations and having a family gathering. I don't know. I don't know what's considered celebrating Christmas for someone who doesn't, let's say, go to church. I don't know what celebrating Christmas really means. But
okay.
And I'll tell you that whatever it does mean, Jews don't do it. But but that doesn't mean that does. I genuinely want anyone who celebrates the holiday to have an amazing, enjoyable holiday. So when I can, it's not difficult for me to sincerely wish everyone a Merry Christmas because I know that they're celebrating Christmas, and so I want their Christmas to be merry. And there's nothing. I don't look at that as like from a Jewish perspective blasphemy. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah, but the South Park stuff about Jews on Christmas is not accurate, right?
I haven't seen the South Park Jews on Christmas.
Mr. Hanky the Christmas Poo. You've never heard about that?
No. Somehow I missed.
Oh my goodness. See, the funny thing is, the first person to introduce me to that show is a devout Jew, and there were so many Jew jokes in it. My friends and I were just cringing over and over again, and he's just laughing. He's like, ha, 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 ha. It's like, and I didn't realize that one of them is extremely Jewish.
That's what, yeah.
It's like, to us, we're like, oh God, this has to be so offensive. Yeah. And he's like, no, this is great. This is great stuff. You got to watch this. Yeah. This guy was so Orthodox too. So it was like, he dressed the part and everything. And I was like, amazing. Wow, I can't believe he loves this show. But I guess that's kind of a common thing, though, isn't it? I mean, you guys are pretty good at making fun of yourselves.
Yeah, like that's actually something. Jewish comedians were frequently very self-deprecating. If you look at the earliest comedic talents, they tended to be either Jews or blacks. If you look at the greats of yesterday, with the exception of Bob Hope, most of them were Burns, right? Burns and Allen, who was Jewish. Woody Allen. There was Jackie Mason. There was just so many massive stars who were all Jews, and most of them used very self-deprecating humor. That was it was almost like a staple to be using self-deprecating, the ability to laugh at yourself was something. And a lot of people philosophized or theorized that the Jews always dealing with their struggles. So if you have choice between crying and laughing, so that's why Jews became would find the humor in things. I think that it's I don't think that's actually true. I don't know. Maybe it was true culturally. I can't speak for what was true culturally 20 years before I was born, but I always enjoyed a good joke that was aimed, that laid into Jewish stereotypes. If it was if it was done well. If it's done well, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's good. That's really good. if it's done poorly, the problem is if it's done poorly, then it just seems like, wow, you're really desperate to find some way to like hate on Jews. So that's why people are afraid that they're going to come off as being anti-Semitic, because like if they don't land the joke, it's like, man, that just that makes it even funnier. That's when it's really, that's me. So
a lot of people in your chat brought up Mel Brooks, and like his stuff was pretty legendary in making fun of himself.
Yeah. And by the way, most of these people are embarrassments to like real Jews, like Mel Brooks, Woody Allen. Oh my God, Jackie Mason.
Oh man,
yeah, they're not something that actual like practicing Jews or will hold up to their children as being some sort of role model. Quite the contrary, it'll be like, oh my God, we're so embarrassed that these humans exist. But yeah, I think it comes. I don't know. I mean, I think that it's just something that we you sort of learn to have a thick skin. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. What do you do for Christmas? What do you consider celebrating Christmas? That if you didn't do it, you would feel like I didn't celebrate Christmas this year.
I usually try to find, I mean, our family's a lot less big on the holidays, I would say, than others, because we're kind of agnostic and my kids are a bit more on the atheist side of things. But I mean, I bought pizza for the family as just kind of a, let's have a, like have a cool meal or something. But I am one of those people who kind of gives gifts to their kids throughout the year. So like, I don't find like a specific day to be assigned for that. Like, I mean, I bought my son Mike his guitar when I wanted him to have his guitar. I didn't wait for Christmas. There are people who kind of plug into that and they'll literally just kind of wait to give gifts to those certain days. I just never prescribed to it. But I mean, like I said, we had pizza. Sometimes I might do something like, make one of my pot roasts or whatever. I keep that much of it, but I also would want to point out that we're not really typical on that. I mean, most of the families that I know, even the ones that are not really Christian, like they're not going to church or anything, but they still would decorate the tree, and all that, which is
on the day of Christmas specifically, or they have a decorated tree.
It's usually done before that.
Right.
It's usually done before that. But the funny thing
Let me just pause because
like,
I got to hear a very nice super chat here from my good friend Eric.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So Eric Hunley dropped me Biddy saying, "Merry Christmas, Joe. You may not celebrate it, but we celebrate you. You're too kind, brother. Thank you. Thanks for being a great part of my community. No, it's my privilege. It really is. I love coming on there. I'll tell you this much, Eric, that the reason I do laid back news is because I might mention to like backstage to you. I don't think I mentioned it like on screen, but I'll share it now. Is that really is my social part of my week? Like I don't think I've gotten a single viewer on that show. Like I don't think anyone has found me from that show within the past year. Early on, they definitely did, and I'm appreciative for that. But I come there just because I like hanging out with you, Eric, and like the other folks who you bring on there, which and I'm privileged to be a regular staple on Laidback News with your weekly show, and I hope to continue doing that for the foreseeable future because it really is. It just feels like I'm actually engaging with people who I like and who. Like I really want to get their thoughts on certain stuff or joke around with them about certain things, and it's a really chilled thing. I recommend all of you check out Laidback News, if only for like the Friday show. But there's a lot of other great content on there that I'm sure you're going to enjoy. So thank you, brother, and Merry Christmas to you. Let me get to a couple of these other ones that were hanging out here. So Jim Satella says, "Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, fantastic Festivus, crazy Kwanzaa to you all, and to you all a good night, except for the Democrats. Screw them. They're poisoning the blood of the country. Shalom." Thank you so much, Jim Satella. Monk and Training says, "Merry Festivus," and Wesley says, "My favorite Christmas movie, 8 Crazy Nights." I don't know if he reached out to me. I keep forgetting to check that email. Let me check if he reached out to me because I think I owe him a hat. But so you got to do everything that. So wait, the gift giving stuff. You do that Christmas Eve, or you do that on?
Well, that was what usually would happen in most Christian households that I was like part of in the past was like some parents would allow you to open one gift on Christmas Eve and then everything else on Christmas morning. One of the comments I was going to make was that the strange thing about the quote unquote Christian Christmas is that a lot of the stuff that they do is actually kind of pagan in origin. Like, it's not necessarily things that were directly said, hey, in the Bible, do this to remember Christmas, but things like decorating a pine tree, hanging mistletoe, like that's a Celtic thing.
Right.
So a lot of the old pagan stuff for the festival of Samhain, I think it's called, is all kind of been adapted into what would be considered an American Christmas. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I know, like, they call them the Jehovah's Witnesses or whatever. They don't do any of that stuff because
Right.
they acknowledge that it's all pagan. But it's kind of an unusual thing about it. And the giving of gifts, it was another thing that I think was adapted in that way. There's a lot of little things like that, like the Easter egg, the Easter bunny. That's because of the pagan fertility festival around that time in the spring. Halloween. Well, yeah, that's an obviously pagan holiday.
So
a lot of our traditions in the United States still come from that. What were you going to say?
Yeah, no. So I was gonna respond to that, which I know that a lot of it is rooted in paganism. I think it was developed for the purposes of popularizing the culture of Christianity for pagans, as a way of helping indoctrinate them into the faith of Christianity. So I definitely I think it's I don't think anyone disputes or seriously disputes that many of these traditions, like the tree, like the Easter bunny, like Halloween, that they're all rooted in pagan worship. And it's funny because I sort of look at it as like those are like the cultural elements to Christianity. It's where I don't look at the tree itself as being that if someone puts up a tree, that means he's a good Christian. Like, you don't do anything else, just put up a tree, and now, now you're covered. I don't think any Christians genuinely believe that, and it's an interesting. I'll share with you something. That was talk about Jews and humor and like self-deprecatory. So I don't know if you've probably never studied or read any Talmud at all, right?
I've discussed it with people. I've never read it.
Right.
No.
So in Talmud, basically what they'll do is they'll have it'll start with something that will, let's say, talk about one area of Jewish law, and it'll dissect like what the law is with respect to that particular thing. So, for example, we have a holiday called Sukkot. Okay. So where we eat in those shacks. Those shacks we call a sukkah. There are a lot of Jewish laws relating to what makes a sukkah a kosher sukkah versus not being a kosher sukkah. So, as far as like the roof has to be made of certain man-made natural materials, and it has to be detached from the ground, and all these different rules that are required in order for it to be a valid sukkah. So it'll basically be like 5 or 6 lines talking about like basic Jewish law, and then there'll be exposition of different rabbis arguing about why it is that it's this way, or what if it's a little bit smaller, or what if it's a little bit longer, like different scenarios to try and figure out what the law is. And the reason I mention this is because, and it's all written in Aramaic, is I once saw someone as a spoof of Talmud write out like in Talmud text, like the Lost Tractate of Talmud, which is going through the laws of a Christmas tree. And it was all in Aramaic. And it was basically talking about how tall a Christmas tree has to be in order to be a valid Christmas tree. And what if someone like puts the Christmas tree on a stand, but what if it's too short? And they talk about like the minimum requirement, and this is exactly the sort of thing that Jews argue about with respect to Jewish law. And it was basically designed. It was so brilliantly done. But it's what's kind of funny about it is that I think that while we look at our traditions as something that have like actual laws in order to fulfill an obligation, I think that when it comes to much of Christianity and the things that stick out to Christians as far as being part of associated with a holiday, it's far more cultural than actually fulfilling a requirement that you need to do. Although that could depend on the sect of Christianity. I just spoke.
Right, and I respect everybody's rights to do that, and I raise my kids to be the same way. I honestly think, it's good to have traditions for things like that, especially since in many cases with our current society, like that's the only time the families ever seem to see each other anymore.
Yeah.
And to other cultures, that's pretty foreign. But how was your Hanukkah?
Oh, it was great. It was great. I mean, we had I started getting sick like near the end of Hanukkah, so I actually got sick and got better, and over this weekend I realized I think I got sick a second time. Like I was asking my daughter, who's a PA, like why is it like now I'm coughing? Is that residue from this illness that I got over, earlier in the week? And she's like, if that wasn't one of the symptoms, then no, it's a new thing you got now. I was like, oh great. So
what were your symptoms? I just got over something too.
I was dealing with like I had chills and I was very achy and I was congested and and I was like very and I was congested. I was not congested, but I had a dry cough. Now I'm congested with a cough. So that was the congestion is something that's brand new. So I don't know.
I think that's similar to what I had. What was weird about it was the phlegm was like the consistency of like water, so it would just come right out.
Yeah.
Like it was like, what is this? It was like you're used to it being something you got to kind of push out of your nose. For me, it was more of like, I better not lean forward because it'll be on my shirt. I was like, what is this? It's gross.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had something similar to that. I didn't get the chills this time, thankfully. But the other thing was the pain. I had just constant headache. It sucked.
Yeah. So, all right. So before you share with us
advise
any more fluids that came out of you, I'm going to clear you out here. I'm going to thank you for joining in with me, brother. I'm actually going to make a phone call back to someone who tried calling me, who's another friend of mine, and wish him a Merry Christmas. So
it's okay.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you calling in. I'm going to make a quick phone call before I take any more calls over here. And
you got it.
All right. Thank you so much. And Merry Christmas, my brother. Great hearing from you.
You too.
All right. Take care. I do have someone who I see from my call list here who's someone on my Christmas, someone who is in my phone. So I'm going to call him right back. Christmas trees are 100% Christian and always has been. Borrowing them from paganism is a myth everyone just uncritically accepts. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. But how do you prove that though? Like, how do you know that? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, how do you know that that's true? How would anyone know? Like, even if it was invented, even if a Christmas tree was adopted in the year like 1500 years ago, literally 1500 years ago, how would anyone know whether that was something that was embraced as a means of encouraging pagans, or whether it was something that's part of, let's say, I don't know, Jesus' original teachings, unless it's in the book itself, some book itself, which I don't think it is. Gifts is linked to 3 wise men. Okay. All right. I get that. Tree is linked to dying on the cross. It's not really a cross, though. I mean, the whole point is it's supposed to be an ever-living tree. That's why it's an evergreen, right? The time of year linked to the stars, there might be a correlation. All right, this is interesting. I'll get thoughts from this guy here. We'll see if he has anything. If he wants to weigh in on it, I'll give him a call right now. Little surprise here. We'll see if we got him.
Hello.
Kurt.
Hello.
Good Lawgic.
How are you?
Thank God. How are you doing?
Mixed.
There's uncivil law, everyone, in case you didn't realize. I don't think I said Kurt, but I didn't say uncivil law. So everyone should realize we are in the air, just want to be 100% clear.
I understand that.
Okay.
I know. I realized that. I figured that out from your show.
Right.
Yeah. Fair to middling. Like many people, I struggle with loneliness and at this time of season, but I'm grateful to have people like you in my network of friends, because people like you make, and Nate and Rob and Ian and the other people who I remain in close contact with, make it all worthwhile, as well as the people who help watch me. So I'm grateful for you. So thank you for being part of my friends.
No, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, my privilege. I'll tell you this much. I remember when I was first starting out, Kurt's channel looked ginormous to me, because he had like 40,000 subs and I was like, oh my
Mm.
God, he's a titan in YouTube.
Yeah,
that's
it's funny. It's funny how perspectives like that change, because I remember like having the same feeling like Richard Hogue,
yeah.
because I forget what he was at the time, but like when I first got in touch with his channel, he was at 80,000, and like I was like at 20. I'm like, that's never gonna happen.
Well, the first time
And so it's
yeah.
interesting how things change.
Yeah, when I first appeared on Layback News with Viva, I was like awestruck. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, because I've been watching his videos. I was awestruck when I was like, man, I really hope I don't sound like an idiot during this thing. And then I had all sorts of video connections, and I was like on 9-second delay, and it was a disaster. But now David and I are friends, so go figure. But did you do anything for Christmas? You see any family?
No, my family lives too far away. I saw them recently for 2 weeks.
Right, when you went out.
I decided not to go home for Christmas, and then I'm going to be moving pretty soon. So I'll either go see them in January before I move, or I'll see them afterwards. Are you doing all right yourself there, by the way?
What, you mean because I have a hacking cough and I keep muting myself?
Yeah, please don't die.
I keep muting myself for the stream, but there's no way for me to mute myself for you. So unless I guess I could hit mute. No, I'll be muting you. I don't know. Will I be muting me? I don't know. Whatever.
So Mucinex goes a long way, or either that or hot mustard can clear the sinuses pretty well.
Hot mustard.
Forces open the sinuses.
Really? So wait,
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to go to like.
I just
want.
Well, you're a Jew, right? So that's Chinese food, man. Just get yourself some hot mustard. You'll be fine.
Wait, you mean literally hot mustard, or take mustard and heat it up?
No, I mean hot mustard, spicy mustard, like you get at a Chinese restaurant.
Oh. Okay. So I'm supposed to like put it on my tongue or sniff it. What am I supposed to do with it?
Yeah, just eat it. Just eat it and smell it. It'll help open the sinuses, man.
All right. You know what? I think I'll try that. I think I'll.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's Christmas time. Jews are supposed to eat Chinese food now. That's like part of our tradition.
Yeah. Speaking of Christmas food plans, I have my own stream planned for tomorrow at 11:15 Central. I'm going to be making a beef Wellington.
Whoa.
One of my signature dishes, a very nice dish. I got myself a $75 piece of tenderloin prime that's already marinating with a nice wine, pepper, salt, garlic solution in the fridge, and we're going to make that tomorrow. It's going to be glorious.
That's going to be on air.
It's going to be on air.
Oh, okay. So make sure you guys check it out. 11:15 tomorrow Central Time, which is 12:15 Eastern.
Yes.
Awesome.
And then we're gonna have some. We're gonna wrap it with some bacon, and then we got some nice asparagus. We'll wrap with some prosciutto.
Sweet.
It'll be fantastic.
Sweet. All right. Well, I hope you really enjoy that. Anyway.
Yeah.
I saw that you had tried calling in, so I wanted to reach out to you and wish you a Merry Christmas. Hope your holidays are amazing and great, and and tell you that I appreciate you as well. I'm really honored to count you amongst my friends. So Merry Christmas. I want to try and let some people in who perhaps are not people that I know, in order to, if people are feeling down or stuff like that. I sort of wanted to, like, I don't know, maybe see if
I understand, but everyone else who's feeling down out there, just know, as a person who deals with depression himself, and a person also who feels lonely, that I understand, and I hope we can all get through it together. And with that, I will wish you a Merry Christmas, sir.
I love you, my brother. Merry Christmas.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. Whew. All right, 972-454-0703 is the number to call. It's 972-454-0703. V Radio says, if trees are from Christianity, points to what Scripture instructs Christians to decorate pine trees to honor Jesus' birth, or holly, or mistletoe. Yeah, that was kind of my point. That if it evolved in the year 400 or so, maybe it's been around for over 1,000 years, well over 1,000 years. Maybe it predates Islam, but how does anyone know that it wasn't a cultural element that was sprinkled in order to help entice pagans along. And I, like Ryan English was claiming it. And like I said, I don't know. I'm just telling you, I don't know. I'm wondering how he knows this. So, I should turn my do not disturb because no one's going to get through if I have that on. All right. So now my do not disturb is off. So let's get some calls in here. Maybe I'll call someone back. Let's get this person. We'll see if I get something in the next couple minutes. Otherwise, I'll make some callbacks.
Call from
Kimmy Hunt.
to accept.
Kimmy,
Hi, Joe.
how are you?
Oh, Merry Christmas. Well,
No, that's
Happy
okay. You
Hanukkah
can.
to
I don't. No one should feel embarrassed about saying Merry Christmas to me. I look at it as they're wishing me a good day, so it's totally cool. So,
Okay, that's all right. I just want to thank a very famous Jew for writing one of my favorite Christmas songs,
okay, what's that?
White Christmas by Irving Berlin.
Irving Berlin wrote White Christmas. That's I'm waiting for a white Christmas.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Oh.
He also wrote Easter Parade.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
in your Easter bonnet with all your frills upon it.
Wow. That's I did not know that. I knew
Yeah.
I didn't know I don't know much about Irving Berlin. So what do you got going on this Christmas, Kimmy?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's just me and my little dog.
Mm-hmm.
And my grown married daughters will kind of waltz in here around the 30th and visit me for a few hours, and then they're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of lonely.
Oh, well, there's no reason. So I understand that feeling. I mean, sometimes, unfortunately, people who even have people around still feel lonely.
That's true. Sometimes you can be in a crowded room and feel completely alienated and alone. Just sit in the corner and not be able to strike up a conversation.
Yeah. Or some people are
Yeah.
consumed, let's say, with their own personal issues that they just sort of naturally don't even have much of a desire to engage. But
No, that's true.
yeah. So do you do anything for the holiday specifically?
Well, I wasn't even going to decorate this year. I have a few little boxes of Christmas things, and when I found out that I was going to get to see my 7 grandkids on December 30th, my 86-year-old mother came over.
Okay.
And she helped me put my tree up, put my lights up, and put my little stockings out. And the Christian thing that we do, because I look at all of those things as secular things.
Right.
And things that give non-religious or Christians that don't practice, it gives them an excuse to celebrate Christmas, although they do recognize that it was Jesus's birth that we're celebrating. But Christians generally put up a nativity set.
Okay.
With Mary, Joseph, and the baby, and it's like a little stable. And
I know what
you
the
set
nativity
little
scene looks
figurines
like.
in.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I've seen the nativity scene. So basically, it'll be something with like, they tend not to show Mary looking like she's like, in labor, but they'll have her like sort of
no, she's already birthed.
Right, coddling a newborn. That would be a very different. I don't want to offend anyone, so I'm walking so carefully here. But
you would not offend me because I'm a labor and delivery nurse. I was a labor and delivery nurse, and I was all in there pushing and the whole nine. I was elbow deep with stuff. So, and I kind of have a dark sense of humor. Most nurses do.
Right.
Just to get through all the trauma and things that we deal with.
Right. But I can understand you saying that that's more of a religious observance than, let's say, a Christmas tree or something.
And there are religious Christmas songs and there are secular Christmas songs. There's a difference between the two. And it always tickles me when I see somebody throw in a religious one. And I, even when I was in school, I'm old, Joe. I am so old. But you were probably a young kid when I graduated high school.
Okay.
It was 1978 when I graduated high school.
I was 8 at the time. Right.
Yeah. Okay. So you're 10 years younger than me.
Right.
I was born in 1960.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, even then, they were looking at school, public school, Christmas programs or Christmas concerts, and they were frowning upon singing like Silent Night or, Christmas songs like Joy to the World, things that mention Jesus's birth.
Right.
So you would sing things like Jingle Bells and, I don't have a lot for Christmas, and whatever,
See, this
all
is
I want for Christmas is you, that kind of thing.
Right. And later on, it was Santa Claus coming to town, and Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
And it was moving away from tradition and becoming more commercial is what was happening with Christmas. And that's why, I don't know if you've ever seen Charlie Brown's Christmas.
I have, actually, I think.
I
don't know if I
Brown's
saw the entire thing. So I'll tell you this much: when I was growing up, so when it came to very Christmassy type of things, so we tend to shield our youngins away from religious type of stuff like that.
And that's smart,
right? The objective is to sort of keep them like
on the right path.
On the path, that we're hoping that they're going to ultimately go down. So my parents, I remember that I used to listen to rock, and there was a song, Kyrie Eleison, that in the 80s, which was like a really fun song that I had no idea was a reference to Jesus at all. Like because I'd never heard that term ever in my life.
And what was it?
Kyrie Eleison.
Oh, okay.
You don't remember that song? It was from you were in your 20s at this point, but it was pretty big.
Well,
in pop music.
I got married in 79 and was busy having babies at that point, so I kind of got away from the radio for a little while.
Yeah, but I remember when my father heard me like singing that song, and he freaked. He was like,
no.
He didn't like me listening to rock in general. He was okay with it. He was tolerant of it, but he's like, but he understood. He understood what it meant, and I had no idea. Like I said, I didn't know anything about it. But that is the sort of thing that we sort of we tend to push our kids away, to cloister them away from. So,
and that's normal, and I think that's healthy, actually. I know people might not agree with you and me on that, but I mean, I was raised Baptist. Fundamental Baptist. And there were many people in our church that wouldn't even go to movies or play cards,
right,
or go to dances,
right.
And it was because it was many people. In fact, my uncle was a Baptist minister, and my cousins grew up without a television in their house. Because it was inviting the devil in, is how they looked at it.
Right. Yeah. Like you saw the movie Footloose?
Yes, the same thing. Yeah.
Right.
That was
so
kind of my.
Those of you too young.
Kind of my uncle.
Those of you too young to appreciate the movie Footloose, which was really, I think, Kevin Bacon's breakout movie. So in that movie basically centers, most of you probably know what it is, but for the handful of you who don't know what it is, Footloose is a movie that's centered around these teenagers and their constant friction with this very religious Christian town, where the daughter of the head preacher of the town, the pastor, I'm not sure what he was, but played by John Lithgow. So he was like this very right-wing religious person who had outlawed dancing, and he like Kimmy's saying here, it was a concept of like, this is this is devil, this is like the devil's work, and it sort of leads towards unhealth, and the devil's comes into your body, and they ended up having
it's looked at as a slippery slope.
So this is the thing that I sort of want to point out to you. It's an interesting thing, because this same concept, this is a battle that I think that religious people have had against the slippery slope of secularization. And you're just, and I think you recognize that battle line. And I think that, and the important, and you're actually, you're sufficiently wise to recognize that's not like a crazy perspective to have concerns about that. But
right. And what I was raised as, and what I raised my daughters with, was we are in the world, but we are not of the world.
Right.
In other words, we have to live in the world, but we don't adopt everything worldly.
It's so funny that the way you're phrasing this, because so much of this is like literally could be lifted from like some speeches I heard growing up as a kid with respect to Judaism. Like it's like literally like the exact same thing. Like, and it's a recognition. And here's the key mistake that the John Lithgow's, or that character's that he's portraying, the classic mistake that character made, which I think many people in the religious right, whether you're talking about Christianity or Judaism, made, which was that they treated the public as if they were too dumb to understand the distinction between what is genuinely prohibited versus what we're sort of shying away from because of a recognition of a slippery slope. Those are two different, those are two completely different things. I'll share with you, the first biblical story, the very first biblical, I assume you've read the Bible, right?
Yeah, I can quote all the books.
Okay, great. First story in the Bible is what?
Genesis. It's Adam and Eve.
Exactly.
It's actually the creation.
Okay, and right after creation, the first story involving man is
Adam and Eve.
And the tree.
And Cain and Abel.
Adam and Eve and the tree.
And the tree.
Right,
yes,
precisely. Which a lot of people call an apple tree. We actually believe it was a fig tree.
It wasn't. It's a fruit tree, but it was not described in the Bible as an apple.
Very good. Very, very, very good. That's true. There's nowhere that it says apple tree in the Bible. You're correct. We actually believe it was a fig tree. But
probably in that area, in that region, it probably was.
Yeah, some people speculated that it was grapevine or whatever. Anyway, bottom line is this. What happens in that story that everyone knows is the snake comes and basically says to Eve, why don't you eat from that tree? So she responds that we can't eat or touch that tree, otherwise we'll die. And that's what God said, that if we touch it, we'll die. And now this is laced into this story that we learn when we're learning different rabbinic experts of yore have like basically passed down, is when God warns Adam about the tree, he never says not to touch it. He simply says, don't eat from the tree, otherwise you'll die. But he doesn't say don't touch it. So then you have to ask yourself, why is Eve claiming to the snake that, hey, we can't eat or touch the tree, otherwise we'll die? Because then she ends up getting pushed into the tree, and he's like, well, you touched it, and you didn't die, so obviously you're allowed to eat from it also. So, and she didn't realize the flaw in that. And now we understand that what basically Adam did was that he went to Eve and said to Eve, don't eat or touch it, otherwise we'll die. So it seems as if she actually thought that was what God had warned them, that if they touch it, they're going to die. Whereas Adam knew that it was really only if they eat it. But Adam seemed to actually put a little circle around that fence saying, if we don't touch it, we're never going to come to eat it. So I'm going to tell her.
So was Eve suffering from hearsay?
Basically, yes, that she was. And Adam was looking to protect Eve and figuring, look, if she's not going to touch it, definitely not going to eat it. So, but his mistake is the same mistake that John Lithgow's character makes. That he could have just walked her through and given her enough credit to say, look, if we eat from it, we're going to die. Hence, we're not going to, we're just like make a rule. We're not even going to touch it. Because otherwise, if we touch it, we might end up, once you're holding your hand, you might end up coming to eat it. So we're going to have that as like a little circle around the tree, a little fence around the tree in order to ensure that we don't end up coming to eat from it. But he doesn't seem to have walked her through that. And that's
he doesn't trust her.
And that's the lack of trust. Perhaps lack of trust, or that she's going to respect his wishes on this or whatever it is. But that's the exact same mistake we see authority figures make to this day, whether it's religious authority figures, whether it's government, with them saying like, oh, you have to take this jab because that's going to save you, and like just lying to us in ways that we see through. And it's literally the very first story in the Bible which walks us through what a terrible, tragic mistake that is of having such disrespect for your audience that they're going to actually appreciate the significance of having a safeguard to stop them, to recognize that, we're going to respect the safeguard, but that's not because it's the actual ultimate command, but that's because we have such strong respect for the initial command that we just want to create that safeguard. And if you can create those levels and transmit that to people, they're far more likely to actually follow properly and willingly.
Correct, because to me, it's like if you do that and you're too authoritarian with your religion, you get rebellion. To the extreme that you're authoritarian is the extreme you will get the child rebelling.
Right.
And
Precisely.
what I was raised as, we weren't like my cousins that didn't have the TV. We had the TV. In fact, my dad had a color TV in 1960. So we actually saw The Wizard of Oz. We saw everything in color when Dorothy opened the thing, and I went to school and I said, oh my gosh, the Land of Oz was in color. And all my classmates looked at me like I was stupid because they all had black and white TVs.
Oh,
and I had no clue that my dad worked for RCA at the time. And he got a good deal on the TV.
Nice.
But needless to say, what I'm saying is how I was raised was, this is why we do this. But my parents trusted us enough and schooled us enough to know and to recognize secular or slippery slopes. They taught us to recognize slippery slopes on our own so that we could back off on our own.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we went down the slippery slope, we could come back and say, oh my gosh, I did this thing. And my parents would say, well, let's, talk about it. Let's pray about it. Let's figure it out and let's not do that again.
Right.
That's how, so the John Lithgow character is made fun of actually because he is so authoritarian, and it paints Christian fundamentalists
in such a bad light, such a terrible light. They look like lunatics.
Yeah.
They look like lunatics. Yeah.
Complete lunatics. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. But we have the tree, we have the silver bells, we have the lights, we have this and we have that, and we have the secular music and we have the Christian music, and actually when I was growing up in front of our church, we had a live nativity. And I don't know if you know what a live nativity is.
I think that's people acting out like the scene of the nativity.
Yeah, we would erect a stable in front of our church, and we would bring in a donkey and a sheep, and we would have people dressed up as the wise men and and then we would stand perfectly still for a half an hour, and then we would have somebody scoot in behind us, take our place, and then we would quietly walk off. So we'd take half-hour shifts.
Right.
And it's something that our parents brought us up in, and it's just observant of, the Christian Christmas. And so that, I have my foot in both worlds.
I think there's value to it because it should be something that's enjoyable. It should be something that like religion should be something that's enjoyable, and it should be something.
It is to me.
And once people have an appreciation for their religion, it's much easier for it to be an enjoyable thing unto itself. But just because someone is born in an observant family or religious family doesn't mean that their children naturally are going to have that affinity on their own. So having having that honey of the enjoyable elements to the religion to help them, sort of lick the spoon towards having the batter, and like that's the way. I think that's a positive thing, and it doesn't, irrespective of religion, whatever religion you're talking about. I think that's a very, very important element as far as passing down the values that you're trying to pass down in a way that ultimately the agenda is that ultimately by experiencing it they'll come to appreciate what's real about the religion versus what's more fluff, and that they'll actually embrace it. But this was a great call.
I consider my religion precious.
Right.
It's very precious.
It's apparent.
And
it's apparent. In this
I can just sit right here in my living room and have a conversation with God.
Mm-hmm.
Very quietly, just me and him.
Right.
Because I go to him for all of my wants, my needs, my desires, and my praise and my thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I sit here by myself on Christmas, and I will go over to my mother's at some point tomorrow and visit with her for about an hour, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But as I sit here by myself, I think to myself, I am not alone.
Right.
God is right here with me.
Amen.
Jesus is right here with me. And who would I better have with me in my house than anybody else? And I can have quiet solitude and quiet communion tomorrow with the reason that we celebrate Christmas.
Right.
So that's precious to me. And I wanted to thank you very much for being there. Because you thought at one point, you said, oh, it might be sacrilegious to do this on Christmas Eve. And I tried to send you a message to say, no, Joe, this is not sacrilegious.
Okay.
This is wonderful to people that are lonely. And
that's what I figured.
It's such a benefit.
That's what I figured.
One thing I wanted to say before I let you go,
mm-hmm.
I do not have X.
Oh, okay.
And I'm on Social Security disability. And I've been trying to figure out how to get you a message to get your secret code.
Oh.
To locals. And I'm like, I don't know how to contact him to tell him.
This is what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm going to pop you out of the chat. Okay. So that you're not in, so that no one's going to hear you. And then I'm going to ask you for your email address. Don't give it yet. And then I'll drop you an email and I'll do it that way. Okay.
That's awesome.
All right. So I'll do that right now. In fact, let me remove this from here. Okay, and I'll stop the screen. Okay. Now no one can hear you. So why don't you, let me just come in here and set up. I don't want you doxing yourself here. All right. What's your email address? Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So I'll put in here. All right. So. Now, I just sent you just a one-word thing, which is okay. Hold on a second. I typoed. I left. It's KRI. You said KRIMM, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Oh, I left out the ad. That was my. I was like, because they weren't recognized. Yeah. My bad. I got it. Okay. All right. Fine. So I just sent you an email with just one word, which is what the code is. You have to sign up monthly and make sure that when you're signing up monthly that you're going to that you're gonna It works better from a browser. So it's if you're just going from your browser, it should work. If it doesn't, throw an A on the end, okay? Because some people were complaining it wasn't working, but that might have been if they were using it more than once. You're going to need a new code next month because it only runs. It's dying January 1st. So I'm going to be creating another one. I recreate a new code every 6 months, and this way I always hope that people are going to find themselves in better financial situations. So I figure I'll give them something that should be good for 6 months, and then if they still need it, they can come back to me. But I'll give you another one. I'll send you the new one that I'm going to create that I have not yet created after January 1st. My pleasure. Well, you're very welcome. Have a very Merry Christmas, and thank you so much for the call.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, so all right, that's Kim. We have her covered. What do I want to do here? This is okay. Number to call is 972-454-0703. I'm going to turn it back. I'm going to make myself receiving calls again. Eve, don't touch, and yet rabbis make gedarim. That's exactly the point, that we have to know what's a gedar. Gedarim means fences. It means they make restrictions that add on to what the regular, the Torah prescription is. You're supposed to have prescription.
Call from.
Dean Dennis.
You should know what
To
the
accept,
prescriptions
press
are
1. To
versus,
send a voicemail.
versus not knowing what the prescriptions are. That's the point. 1 second, Dean. Let me just get a couple.
Yes.
A couple more of these chats here. I forgot to turn off my do not disturb. Okay. All right. Alkaline says, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Oh, we got this. Okay. Prospering Woman says, I've been listening to World War II era Christmas songs, and I've been amazed how many Christmas songs are about trying to get back to life before the war. That's interesting. Mary Coppola, member for 5 months. I'm going to give you one of these because I'm just in the mood. And Footloose, her brother dies from a car crash with alcohol while attending a dance. They equate it with his death. That's the band. Yeah, that's true. But they root it in religion, which is why when they have the whole hearing at the end, he starts proving that lots of people danced in the Bible from David and other folks, and basically proving that dance is okay, and instead of actually talking about how there's a time to dance. So, and that's because they basically just put a blanket ban. But you're right, it was motivated initially by an accident. Dean, how are you doing tonight?
I am well, thank you.
I'm glad to hear from you. How are you, my brother?
I am doing well, and Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to everyone out there. My question is kind of a bizarre question for tonight, but I've seen you on a lot of criminal defense trials, and I've always valued what you had to say. You made a lot of sense.
Thank you.
And I'm autistic, so if you know anything about autistic people, we're very literal people.
Okay.
So my question is, the Second Amendment allows us to have guns to fight tyranny, tyrannical governments.
Yeah.
When does that logic, as it were, become a defense? Like you're fighting a revolution, you're not committing crimes, you're fighting tyranny. When does that transpose from the reason, because our country was built on revolution?
It's a great question. It's a great question.
You understand the question?
Oh, I totally understand the question. In a sense, you're almost asking me, like, I've frequently said, I don't want anyone to, get violent or whatever. When the most recent time was last week after the Colorado Supreme Court came out with their decision saying that Trump should be taken off the ballot. And I was telling people that if you engage in violence as a reaction to this, you are playing into their hands, and it's stupid, and it's a terrible, terrible decision. That's it's hurting yourself more than anyone else. And it's also hurting,
of course,
and it's hurting the agenda of those people who are actually interested in maintaining basic American values. I will tell you this. And so the question is, your essential question is, well, when does that change? At what point would there be a tipping point where it's like, No, we really need to take up arms. Like that's like there's no other choice. I mean, isn't it like when we're being marched into the chambers? Is that the point? Like there has to be
Correct.
There has to be some point before that that fighting against tyranny is appropriate.
That is. Thank you for articulating my question without having me sound like a complete psychopath.
No, you were great.
But
it's a fair.
I think
question.
it's a valid question.
It's a very valid question. It's a very valid question. What I'll tell you is, when, in my mind, it's when there is zero recourse, and the tyranny has reached a level of oppression that it's establishing itself as having some sort of permanence. So, in other words, we would need to see, to my mind, we would need to see a genuine breakdown of the Constitution in the way that we, and I've thought a little bit about this. I can't tell you that this is it. This is the moment, because it's sort of like the old question of like when is someone acting in self-interest versus acting for others. Like, where's that line as far as them being a selfish person versus being, a selfless person? It's so amorphous, and it's such a case-by-case basis. And for anyone to predict what's going to unfold over the next 2 years, 5 years, 25 years, 50 years is impossible. But what I'll tell you is this: as far as a general parameter, if someone asks me, one of the reasons that I was thinking this is crazy premature is because, well, first of all, this still could be overturned by the court. Just because there's one court making this decision, this still could be overturned by the court. But so it's not even like this is something that's set in stone. This is for the Trump campaign, it's a temporary setback. But it's also that, as far as whatever issues, if through the natural course of events and through time, we can see how things would resolve themselves without using violence as a recourse, that is always the optimal way to go. Only because,
of course.
So and my point is, so we sort of so I think the best way to answer your question is, that's why I said, if the tyranny is here in a way that it's clearly here to stay and cannot possibly be shed off through within the boundaries that have been set for us. So, for example, if all of a sudden they just said something like, like elections are canceled for, forever, or an institution of martial law, or something where it's like this is, and for an indefinite period of time, that's where like those thoughts start having some level of legitimacy. I'm not saying as soon as that happens, boom, that's it, get your guns, we're going, boys. It's a matter of that's when you have to start genuinely considering that option. Like when basically your back is put against a wall in a way that that's it. You have your choice. You can either like basically accept that we're going to be enslaved by our quote unquote elected leaders, or fight. Well, then okay, then I would say at that point, yeah. Now I think that's the, and I know it's a very broad answer I'm giving you, but it's really the best answer I can give you as of.
Well, sure. There's not going to be a memo say, "Hey, the Civil War starts on Thursday." Right. Meet at City Hall.
Yeah.
So no, I get that. It's just like one can argue with our current election system is half the population is going to be up in arms over the election, whether it's fair or not. It's been no one trusts the system anymore.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about elections. Well, that's the key fundamental in a lot of things.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it is.
If you don't trust the election, then how can you trust the leaders that are leading us?
That's why I keep screaming for not simply integrity, but transparency of the integrity. That's why I keep saying how vital and essential that is. And I don't mean that because I want my guy to win an election. It's because otherwise no one knows that anyone won the election. And it's a matter of like, well, trust us who are always lying to you that we're telling you the truth on this thing that is the most critical thing in the world. Like, it's like
it should have never been about our guy. It should have been, well, he got beat fairly.
Yeah.
That's, if you lose an election, that's kind of where that's what you should feel the next day.
Yeah, that's what you should, and that's what it would be if we had trust in our government, but we don't have it anymore. And that's why the lack of trust in our government is why we have that much greater a need for transparency now than more than ever. And the good news is it's easier to have transparency now more than ever. At least some level of transparency. We're like, there's no reason that we can't have video of us filming these people while they're counting ballots. Like, there's zero reason that we can't have each person having their own camera over them in all 50 states, every ballot counter, that while they're working, that there's basically there's video where we can actually see that that there could be an eye in the sky that's watching them. There's no reason that doesn't exist. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to think that it doesn't. So,
well, if it did, then no one could cheat.
Right, precisely, and that's that's the reason you and I have our concerns. But I'll tell you this much: I don't know that we're that far away from this actually ultimately becoming a reality. Because I think if people see the fracturing that's happening in our country, they recognize that at a certain point that this is reaching an intolerable level, where there are going to be a lot of people having thoughts along the lines that you were suggesting at the start of this call. So,
well, I appreciate that. Like you get, I'm not an insurrectionist.
No,
I don't.
I know you're not.
It's just when you look at the news, and the Second Amendment is absolutely based on our ability to overthrow our government.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, there's no memo coming out that now's the time.
Yeah.
So just to kind of keep things in perspective and, calm everyone down a little bit, maybe you've given us some more things to think about it instead of my guy didn't win and everyone's getting, everyone like me is getting thrown in jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe, and again, I don't know. I just, it keeps coming up amongst people I talk to and stuff.
I'll tell you this much. What's most disconcerting about the decision from the Colorado Supreme Court and how they bent over so far backward is what's so disconcerting about that is the court is our last recourse. Like, if that goes, in that case, you sort of have to ask yourself, what options do we have left at this point? If there's no integrity in the court, like at that point, and it's obvious that our judicial system has just become so corrupted by politics as to be untrustworthy. At that point, what confidence can any of us have that this could possibly be remedied? Because the systems of governance are all working in concert with each other. All three checks and balances. Correct. All three checks and balances have been eroded to the point that no one's checking anyone. They're just working lockstep with each other, and that's a terrifying. That's a terrifying thing, because that's edging us down that slippery slope towards something that, what options do the people have at a certain point?
Well, it's my opinion, and humbly so, that we are in this place right now, not because of the media or the politicians. We are in this place because of the Supreme Court's ability not to take important cases. Like, whether you believe the election was stolen from Trump or you disbelieve it, the Supreme Court should have ruled on those cases, not thrown it out for standing. When you've got the
don't get me started on Texas versus Pennsylvania. Don't get me started on that case.
No, but
Very upsetting.
we're here because of them and their inability to
Have a backbone.
because they're so afraid someone's
Right.
going to be mean to them.
Yeah, their inability to have a backbone. That's essentially right. Yeah.
If they would have decided good, bad, or indifferent, all those cases, then we would be in a lot more secure place as a nation.
I don't know.
If they would have just done their job.
Yeah. Anyway, let me go. I've had you on here for almost 14 minutes now, and I want to sort of try to keep to my 10-minute rule as I'm being reminded by people.
Yes, sir.
I thank you for your call. That was great. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, brother.
Oh, I do. And please be kind to everyone. Just
Amen.
go out and smile and shake people's hand and let them know that they're human just like us.
Amen. Thank you, brother. Have a good night. Merry Christmas.
It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for taking my
My
call.
pleasure.
Bye.
All right. This is good. This is good. This is good. I like Trenton giving me like the little Joe. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. All right, 972-454-0703. Here's the number.
Call from. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press
We'll
2.
try at the same time. I didn't get your name. Hello? All right, we'll take this one instead.
Call from.
Warren Kremens.
To accept, press
Lauren, you made it.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
I am great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Let me turn my volume down so I'm not double hearing things here right
All
now.
right.
Okay.
All right.
A couple quick questions and a little statement. In your religion, just a general question. Our Christian Eve is that what your religion calls Lilith?
Close what?
Lilith?
I've never heard that.
Or okay, because I was just hearing about Lilith festivals, and it was apparently tied to the Jewish religion, and I had a question about that. But if you don't know anything about it, then you're the pro. So
No,
I'll skip
I
the
never
next
heard.
one.
I've never heard that term before. The only term I've heard is a Yiddish term that I don't even know what it means, which is Nittelnacht. But
Because it's actually a Lilith festival.
Lilith meaning like mother of Satan type of thing.
I thought it was tied to your religion, but if you're going to disclaim that, then I'll agree with you and move on to my next question.
Someone's telling me that Lilith was Eve's sister. Eve didn't have a sister, at least according to Jews. I don't know.
Did they take two ribs?
Yeah, no,
Hey.
I don't. I've heard the term Lilith, and I think it has something to do with, I don't know, Satan's mother or wife or whatever, or the demon, some demon woman or something like that. And I think there might be some reference to that name in Talmud that I have not studied. That's possible. So I'm not going to tell you it's impossible. What I'll tell you is this: if it is in Talmud, it's not a section of Talmud that yeshiva boys tend to, cover ever. It's like because there's certain portions of Talmud that have become like the bedrock of what yeshiva boys study. There's like, out of the 20 tractates, there's like probably half of them are the ones that get fixated on, and half of them are almost never studied by anyone other than people when they're going through like the Talmud. They're looking to cover the entire Talmud, so like they'll sort of go through the other 10. So and the Talmud is made up of certain sections which are called agadata, which are basically which are not about expounding on what the law is or trying to what Jewish law is, but it's more like various stories that are supposed to be like parables that we're supposed to be learning from. and most and
Okay.
and few, if any of them, are intended to be taken literally. Like some of them are like, stories about like, this place where there were frogs that were the size of houses, which is not meant to be taken literally, but it's sort of an allegory for what they're actually trying to convey. But a lot of people tend to take them literally, and I think in one of them there might be reference to someone named Lilith, but it's in one of those tractates that we don't generally cover. So, and I've never studied that, and I have a vague recollection of that. But the first time I ever heard the name Lilith was in the context, I think, of the show Supernatural. Like that's literally the first time I ever heard that having any sort of religious context at all.
Okay.
Oh, I lost you. I don't think you meant to hang up. I'll call you back. Because I don't think you meant to hang up.
Your call has been forwarded to an...
Oh, I guess she's trying to call me. Well, that's not good. I'm calling you. Stop calling. Stop calling. Why is this? No. Oh my gosh. It's not ringing now. I'm sorry, Lauren. I don't know why it's not ringing. It says calling, but it doesn't.
Your call has been forwarded to...
I don't know what's happening. All right, I apologize, Lauren. I did not touch anything. So I think I don't know why this call dropped. But yes, I'm gonna take calls at this point. B Radio says Lilith is supposedly Adam's first wife who would not be submissive to Adam, so she left Eden and God made Eve. Yeah, I never heard of that one. That's a new one on me. Lilith, Queen of Shadim, if you believe that thing. Queen of the Demons. Yes, like I said.
Call from
Cedar Rose.
Oh, Cedar
to
Rose.
accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Cedar Rose. Hello.
Hi.
Hey. How are you?
I've just I'm just calling to say hi from Canada and to shout out all the non-cult members in the chat.
All the non-cult members in the
yeah.
Look, I know that you're a regular watcher, and I appreciate.
I am.
Yeah, I see you in the chat every day, so I genuinely appreciate you and your dedication to the show. So, and oh my God, I just realized, I'm going to call this out over here because I just realized as I pulled open my locals, the Vespa guy dropped a 60 on me, saying, "Can't stay, but saw you were streaming. Whatever you all celebrate or don't, I hope you have had a chance to experience a little more caring in the world. Whatever the reason or motivation, anything that makes us think of others a little bit more is worthwhile. Love your channel, Joe. Now I got to vanish like a ninja and finish up some Christmas prep. Much love to you and the Diggers." Thank you so very much for your very generous gift, Vespa. I appreciate that. And Beak says, "Just wanted to say to your third caller tonight that she was a pleasure to listen to. Diggers are excited for her to join the party. We can't wait." Oh, so hopefully she pops in with the code that I sent her relatively soon. So Cedar, how's your Christmas going?
Pretty good. Went to mass, so that was this evening. And then,
how long are mass services on
tomorrow?
Christmas by you?
Well, I believe it was about an hour, just over an hour, if I recall. I wasn't really paying attention, to be honest, at the time.
What are they? What type? What denomination of Christian are you?
This is Catholic.
You're what? I'm sorry.
I'm new Catholic.
Okay.
Catholicism.
Okay.
Yeah. They, from what I understand, other denominations like Protestantism doesn't do mass.
Okay.
I don't know if they have any kind of Christmas celebration.
Okay.
But I think it's mainly a Catholic thing. So.
Okay.
And then tomorrow I'm just visiting my family and.
Do you have a Yule log?
A what?
A Yule log.
I don't know what that is.
Really? You don't know what a Yule log? This is a Jew teaching a Catholic about Christianity? This can't be. This can't. What? I'm like, I fell into another dimension here. What's happening? What's happening?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm new.
Yeah, okay, that's very new. That's very new.
I have a lot. I have a lot to learn. I do know about that. It's a cake that you can make a Yule log cake. I know that much.
The burning
Aside
Yule
from that,
log.
I know nothing.
There's supposed to be a burning Yule log. Like, it's basically a big log that's burning all night.
I see Gosney in the chat.
Yeah,
Gosney, help me.
Gosney is like, he's cringing here. He's like, no, he's not cringing. He's very happy to have a new Catholic. I'm sure he's not cringing at all. But good to see you, my brother Stephen. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, my brother. The Yule log. When I was growing up, what decade are you? What generation are you?
How old am I?
If you don't mind.
Well, unfortunately, I'm a millennial. I'm 40 years old, so I'm just on the cusp. I guess technically,
There's nothing to be embarrassed about that. There's nothing to be embarrassed about that. You can't. No, that's fine. Okay, so when I was growing up, there would be a channel that you could flip on the channel, and the entire night on Christmas Eve, it would just show a log burning. That's what they would have.
Oh yeah.
The Yule log, and that was the Yule log.
Oh okay.
So
now they have so many of those channels.
So then you didn't realize it was called a Yule log then, basically.
Oh no. It was just like the little fireplace that you stick on the TV and whatever, right?
I think that's part of
YouTube's full of those.
I'm wondering if that's part of the. I don't think that's the secularism. I think that's more of the. I don't know the symbolism, what it's supposed to represent, the burning of the Yule log, unless it's the constancy. It's supposed to represent the constancy of it might be a callback to the burning bush, and it's the constancy of God or something of that effect. That's what I'm guessing is the intent behind it. But if anyone knows, I'm very curious now. I don't want to look it up on Google because that's totally less fun. But
maybe Gosney would know.
I'm sure Gosney does know. I'm sure he probably wrote a book on it.
I just thought they were like these cozy, channels people put on and relax and,
No, it's supposed to have religious symbolism. It's supposed to have religious symbolism.
Oh, well,
so
I don't know that.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a question because you're a regular in my chat here. I have two questions for you.
Okay.
I planned on asking this to everyone and I forgot. And you're the first one I'm remembering to ask, okay?
Okay.
So who do you want to see for vice president? That's the first question.
Well, vice, it would be awesome if Tucker would be. It's weird. I followed, being a Canadian, I shouldn't follow American politics because, why would I?
Mm-hmm.
But ever since like Jon Stewart back in, whenever Jon Stewart was on the Daily Show, like popular, I don't even know what year that was, but I've been following American politics since then, and I just find it so interesting. So even though it doesn't really have anything to do with me, I do hope that Tucker is. If Tucker's not, I think Vivek would be good.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting.
I know you are suspicious of Vivek.
No, I'm less suspicious of him, I think, than most people. I think I'm less suspicious than most people, although I am disappointed with his PR team that I reached out to them on Friday to ask them about him popping in here for an appearance. And they haven't done me the courtesy yet of even responding. So I'm a little bummed by that. But I'm sure he gets a million requests. So anyhow, but I do happen to I have a lot of respect for his opinions and his perspective on things, and I think he at the very least knows what he should be saying, whereas most of these other politicians don't even know what they're supposed to be believing. So if they don't even know what they're supposed to be believing, how can they possibly get it right?
Who do you hope for then? Like if Tucker's not?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm
Who
very,
else
very.
is there?
I have a feeling that the vice president's gonna be someone like that's totally off the radar. Like Pence, Mike Pence was totally off the radar. Like it's like I wasn't even thinking about
Yeah.
Mike Pence or whatever. I have a feeling it's gonna end up being someone. I don't think it's definitely not gonna be Carrie Lake. Oh, someone in the chat mentioned, and I don't think it's gonna be Vivek either, and I doubt it'll be Tucker. I think that, but who do I want? Yeah, I would love to have someone that I actually believe in. There are very, very few people that qualify. So I'm gonna have to hold off on that. The other question I want to ask you is this. There's two questions I said. So the other question I want to ask you is, all the guests I have on my show, and there's one name that if you use this name right now, I'm gonna just tell you have to give me a different name. But which is your favorite one for me to have on here?
Of all the people that have been on it.
Yeah.
Who
do you want me to have on, like, let's say more frequently?
You know what? I really appreciated when you had Gosney and your father on at the same time, and you guys were discussing like religion and stuff. And there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of like I just found that an interesting conversation.
Okay.
Just having like you, your father, and Gosney on, that I found that very interesting.
If you had just said
But,
Gosney, I would have said you need to give me a different answer because everyone's going to brown it. Everyone I
Yeah,
ask me,
well,
brown
there
nose
you
in the
go.
chat. But you gave me my dad,
Yeah.
all right, so fine. I'm going to be asking everyone that question. Anything else you want to get off your mind here before I let you go?
Nope, that's I just called to say hi and
I appreciate you
happy
popping in.
Hanukkah for yourself and
Thank you.
others, and Merry Christmas for Christians in the chat.
All right.
Okay.
Merry Christmas to everyone. There you go. Thank you so much, Cedar. Merry Christmas. All right. Southern Mom says, haven't caught a live in a while. Thanks to everyone keep me coming while I finish wrapping presents. Nice. I like a last minute procrastinator. That's great. All right. I turned my calls. Lauren, if you want to call back in, that's totally fine. If you want to call back in, because I know you were in the middle when I lost you. So I tried calling you myself, but that didn't work. That was total foul. That was not good at all. And Nisha was now.
Call from
Lauren Furman.
There we go. Look at you, Lauren, knowing the timing.
There you go. Thank you so much, Cedar.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
All right, you gotta turn off that thing in the background. You gotta turn me
Yeah,
off.
I'm gonna turn it off.
All right.
It's off.
All right. So
It's off.
we're good.
My phone's back plugged in. Okay, I missed the whole Snake and Adam Devil Eve thing.
Yes.
But I'm gonna move on.
Okay.
Okay. Regarding the 12 days of Christmas, and Jesus, why are you just shutting off? Okay, it's off now.
I'm having my
All
hands
right.
here because when this phone disconnects, I want everyone to see it's not me. So I'm going to keep my hands clasped in front of my face here, so no one thinks I boomered this.
Okay. Regarding holiday traditions, the 12 days of Christmas, the song came at a time when Catholicism was banned or shunned, and that song, I don't know if you knew this or not, was a song created to remind the Catholics about their religion. For instance, let me get my notes here. Like the 8 maids of milking is the 8 beatitudes. And what that song taught everybody was a song for the Catholics to remember their traditions with the holiday thing. But that's okay. But like the 11 whatevers were the 11 faithful disciples. So actually, there were a lot of songs in medieval times that taught people the Catholic religion, so that they didn't expose themselves as Catholic.
I did not know that.
And there's a great website.
Lauren, what is I'm not I'm a little confused. So I'm wondering, like, so you wanted to just like share that, or
I wanted to share that, and there is a website that explains all the 12 days of Christmas in the Catholic perspective view of what was hidden subliminally for people of that time, so that they would learn their religion without it being exposed to what was going on at the time of their persecution.
oh,
So not only were Jews at some point exposed to persecution, but the Catholics were as well. You know, when you go back into the medieval time era, so they taught a lot of religion in Catholicism in song to hide
the meaning behind what they were trying to say.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's an interesting little tidbit there that I'm sure my audience appreciates. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. So, Lauren, you're awesome. I have two questions for you. First question is, who do you want for vice president?
Who do I want for vice president? I'm confused on that.
Mm-hmm.
I like Vivek.
Mm-hmm.
As a VP,
Mm-hmm.
but I have a couple of outliers like Tulsi Gabbard or Christy Nome.
Interesting. Okay. And the other question I had was, which guest of mine would you want me to bring on more frequently?
Me. No, only kidding.
Oh, love it. I love it. You're not a woman who's afraid to say what she wants. I like it. All right.
Oh, only kidding. I got one more question for you.
Last one.
And it's not
90 seconds. So what do you got?
okay. It's not a question. It's a statement. And all I want to say is December for me is a magical time for everybody, whether you're celebrating Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, or whatever. It's a magical time for people to celebrate life. It's a magical time for families and friends to get together.
Mm-hmm.
It's a magical time to create your own family traditions.
In short, it's the most wonderful time of the year.
It is. And I'm wishing all of you and your followers the most magical time of the year.
Amen.
Because it's a great time for family and friends to get together. And if you can't do it the rest of the year, let it be now.
Lauren, you're awesome. Have a great night and a very Merry Christmas.
And blessed Hanukkah and
all
everything
that stuff
to everyone else who celebrates.
Amen. Have a great night, Lauren. Thank you so much for calling back.
Good night, Joe.
Night. Okay. So I think she's enjoying her Christmas. That's my guess is she's enjoying her Christmas. That's good. That's a good thing. Steve, you can call in also if you want, by the way. I see you, Stephen Gosney. I see you. I see you tilting my audience here with the whole that everyone's going to say, oh, Steve is the one I want to have more. Steve needs to come back more. But let me take that.
Call from
Lighty Pie.
Lighty Pie. Lighty Pie.
Hey.
Hey.
Yo,
I mean,
I finally got through.
There you go. There you go. Before I get to you, Lighty Pie, I just want to wish my my brother Stephen Gosney the merriest of Christmases. Hope you have phenomenal holidays. I know you don't say it back. I know you're saying it. I know you're saying it right now. I really treasure your friendship. Love having you on. Everyone wants me to have you on more often, and it's only my own stupidity that or lack of scheduling as to why it is that I don't have you on more often. But I really genuinely hope that you have a phenomenal Christmas and Happy New Year, and that you and yours are able to get together and celebrate the holidays, and that you each should find the meaning of Christmas, which you likely do. So anyway, Lighty Pie.
I love Steve Gosney.
Everyone loves Steve Gosney.
I wish him a very Merry Christmas too.
Yeah.
So, Joe.
Yes.
I love you. I love you.
Thank you.
You know, I think I found you during the Rittenhouse trial on Ricadas.
Yeah, that has to be, because that's the only time anyone finds me on YouTube. So.
Yeah, well, that was. I don't know how long ago that was, but
that's 2 years now.
It's 2 years, and I've been following you the whole time. But now that you're on Rebel, when you're on YouTube, I can't chat on YouTube. I can't do the chat on YouTube because my phone, it doesn't do it.
No.
So when you're on Rebel, that's where I could do my little chats. So you could see my chats on Rumble.
Slidey Pie.
Anyway, so,
I see. I missed your Rumble rant, you're saying. Where you said, Joe, I'm trying to call, let me in. I left a message. How would I know which one is you? Okay. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna tell you right now. When I do these call-in shows, thank God, because my biggest nightmare is that, like, seriously 0 people would call. Like, that's like my biggest fear in the world, which thankfully has not happened yet. But there will tend to be like 4 or 5 people who will call over and over and over again, and that'll be like it. So, but as far as which one of those 4 or 5 is you, until I actually get your call, there's no way for me to know that that's you. So
yeah, well, it's me.
Hey.
I'm here, Slidey Pie.
Where are you located at,
Anyway,
Slidey Pie?
I'm in California.
Oh, okay. So it's not. Oh, so
That
you have another hour.
crazy
You have another 53 minutes of Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're right. God, it's late. Oh, I didn't realize how late it is. Yeah. I had a nice Christmas Eve with my family.
Nice.
So that
exchanging
was nice. They all
gifts.
left.
Exchanging gifts.
Oh yeah.
Which gift would you buy someone that you were really proudest of? You were like, oh, this was a good one. This was a good call.
No.
Bad question for you. Okay.
Well, no. I guess my best was the sweater I got from my daughter-in-law.
Oh, okay.
She really liked it.
Okay,
so,
good.
Yeah,
good.
Nothing super fancy, but she liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I bought one for my daughter, and of course, I bought one for myself too.
Mm-hmm.
I always do. When I like something, I buy it for myself, and then I buy it for my daughter and my daughter-in-law. We all get the same thing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so we had a very nice Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to light things up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And is Hanukkah going on right now?
Nah, we wrapped that sucker up last week.
Oh, okay.
Actually, the week before last. It ended on.
Oh.
Ended like on the 17th or so. So it usually ends before Christmas.
Well, I hope you had a very nice Hanukkah.
Thank you so much. I did. It was.
Well,
it's really nice.
Okay, let me ask you this:
mm-hmm.
What present did you give somebody that you thought was super special?
So Lady Lawgic is the one who basically handles the whole gift giving thing.
Oh, yeah, of course, the women always do.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I tend to, when it comes to gifts that like are like meaningful, I think that the most meaningful gifts tend to be ones that relates to your relationship. That like,
Sure.
like that those are the ones that like tend to like really land. So, I mean, in general, I that's whether it could be something that like it could be anything from a picture book of a book of like, it could be an album, or it could be like it could be something as simple as an album of songs. You know what I'm saying? Which like
Yeah.
basically are meaningful to you and the other person. It
True.
displays, because I think that display, putting the effort of like actually the thought of putting into like, okay, which song or like whatever. I think those sort of things are actually they're very meaningful because they're an expression of how you value the relationship. So those are the ones that
I agree.
tend to be most appreciated. But
Yeah.
anyway, so who do you want for vice president?
You know what I would like to see?
Mm-hmm.
Trump and DeSantis.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, Trump is president.
Yeah,
DeSantis as
the Middle East, but that's not happening either. So
I know. I don't know what the hell's going to happen in 2024. It's going to be the world is so damn crazy now. I have no idea.
Yeah,
No idea what's in store for us.
I don't think any of us
This
do.
world.
I'll tell you this much: I have a terrible fear. Terrible fear that 2024 is going to make 2020 look like a joke. I think 2024 is going to be a crazy. I think it's going to be an insane year. There's so many.
Oh,
I mean, I don't want to ruin anyone's Christmas. I don't want to ruin anyone's Christmas.
No, say it ain't so.
There's a lot. I was talking to my father about this like a week or so ago, and I was telling him. I said, if you think back to like the Civil War, or think back to World War One, there was a powder keg of things. There was this incident and that incident. There's not like all of a sudden there's a shot on Fort Sumter, and there you have the Civil War. That's just the powder keg. There's not the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. That's just the sparking a powder keg that has already been assembled, and we can see competing factions that are just stoking and lining up toward having some really terrible conflict, and with all the pressure that is mounting of Trump looming as a potential president, and the terrible fear of that be manifesting, it seems to me as if we're coming to a situation here where this election is likely to cause many, many, many millions of people to go into an unforeseen and as of to date unseen rage. And I think that because of that, I think various powers that have influence will try to manipulate events leading into the election. And
of course.
And I think we're going to see a lot of that. And I think that we're going to see. I'm very afraid that we're going to see a 2024 that is crazy. That makes us think that wow, I missed 2020. Like that's what I'm afraid of. That's.
Oh my God.
Yeah, sorry. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy it now. Enjoy it now, because Christmas 2024. Oh my God.
Yeah. I know. We don't know what's in store for us. I know the world is upside down. We're in an upside down world. Okay, yeah. It's bizarre and crazy and weird and I don't like it. I don't like it, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah.
Give me some positive news, please.
You want positive news?
Yeah.
I can give you positive news.
Oh, okay.
I can give you positive news. It's just not coming next year. It's not coming next year.
Well, when will it come, do you think?
2030?
Oh, Jesus. I'll probably be dead by then.
Nah. Nah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry about that slide by.
30. How many years is 2030?
That's just like
20.
6 years away.
Oh yeah, I'll still be alive. I hope.
Yeah, yeah. I think by
If I stop
2030
smoking.
will start sort. I think that we're headed for a crater, and that will
Oh God.
and I think that crater could be really terrible, but the outgrowth of that will be something potentially better than anything we've seen before. And in that sense, by the way, if we are headed for a crater and Democrats are in charge, that's probably a good thing. So,
What? Wait.
if
Hold
we're
on.
headed for a crater, right?
Yeah.
And just complete and total cratering. Is it
Yes.
better for that to be blamed on the Democrats or the Republicans?
Well, I don't know if we're headed to a crater. What does it matter? We're in a crater. Who cares who caused it?
Because eventually we won't be in that crater anymore. So,
Well,
people are able to I don't know. Look, I'm still gonna be pushing really hard for whoever's for someone normal to win. It's like the eternal fight of man is to keep from the wheels from coming off the axis, even when you see that they are that the wheels are coming off.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
anyway,
They're very wobbly. They're very wobbly.
very
at the
wobbly
moment.
wheels. Very,
Wobbly.
very wobbly. You're like, I don't even know who's steering this go-kart. This is a mess. Let me get this here for a second. Give me 1 second here. Drop Barracuda says, Absuga hat Freilich and Hanukkah and a gebünschten Neujahr.
What?
He's
What was
trying
that?
to do Yiddish. He actually said, if the Yiddish is off, blame Chappie GBT. I tried. So he says, Absuga hat Freilich and Hanukkah and a gebünschten Neujahr, which means I hope you have a happy Hanukkah and a blessed New Year. Mazel and bracha in every stream, which just basically means luck and blessing in every stream. Oive in the best way. Thanks for all the entertainment this year, Joe. It's been a fun, and 2024 is shaping up to be a weird one. Well, there you go. That was your Yiddish. The ChatGPT's Yiddish was actually pretty solid. Pretty. I don't even speak much Yiddish. I speak my family laughs at the idea of me trying to understand, much less speak Yiddish. So my wife grew up in a Hasidic area. Hasidic Jews tend to speak Yiddish. I did not. So there's a story. This is how bad I am. You want to just to give you an idea how bad I am at Yiddish. Okay, this is how bad. Okay.
Okay.
When I first got married, like one of the first Shabbosim that I spent by my wife's parents. So he took me to this. My father-in-law took me to this Hasidic little shtibel, like a tiny little place of prayer, where there was an older Hasidic rabbi, and when it was over, when the services ended, so it's common for parishioners to come to the front and wish good Shabbos to the rabbi. So we did that. And he didn't recognize me because I was a new face. So he said, I could barely hear him, but he said Vismachti. And all I heard was V, the word V, which to me means where. Okay.
Oh.
But the word Vu means what. So but apparently when Hasidic Jews say Vu, they pronounce it as V. He was asking me, how are you? Like, what's up with you? Like Vismatzi. And I said back to him, I heard him say V, and to me that meant where. So I thought he was asking me, where are you from? So he basically, the conversation translated in English was, how are you? And I said, oh, Queens. That's how bad. And my father-in-law just melted into the floor in embarrassment that he basically just married his daughter off to this guy who doesn't speak Yiddish. Like, he was so embarrassed, and I was just like, he said V. He's like, yeah, V. That's how Hasidim say Vu. Like, what do you want? What do you want? Like He's looking. He's like, didn't you hear the rest of what he said? I was like, no. So,
Oh, funny.
yeah, but
You know,
yeah, I'm terrible at Yiddish. My son understands Yiddish very well, but I don't. So is my wife.
You know, my mom grew up in New York,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a kid growing up. The two words, oy vey, was always used.
Yeah,
Oy vey. Like,
but
oy
it's not
vey.
oi. It's I.
What is oy vey?
It's I.
What is it?
Not oi. This is a common mistake. It's not oi.
Oh,
This is something that everyone. By the way, this is something even
Well-
like those people who become religious, they will frequently make this mistake. So I'm going to teach you all to pronounce properly. Okay, it's not
Okay,
oi. It's I. It's different.
I
I.
vey.
Like
I-
I. Not oi. Like boy. So it's not.
Right.
It's I.
I.
Ive.
I
Ive.
I
Ive.
vey.
I.
I vey.
Ive. Yeah, that's better.
I
Yeah. Okay.
I, not vey.
What?
Not vey.
Ive.
Not-
They'll tend. Some will say vey, some will say vi, but
Oh, okay.
Ive. No, Ive.
Well, I just remember hearing that a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's when everyone hears. Yeah. So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the San Fernando Valley in California.
Oh, cool.
The original Valley girl.
Nice.
Before that was even
Like
before that was
totally.
even a term. Before that was even a term, because I'm 63
Mm,
and Valley girls weren't until who knows, I don't know what, 80s or
80s,
whatever.
Yeah.
All the, yeah,
Oh, gag me with a spoon.
yeah, and and I mean I had a good upbringing, but California sucks now.
Yeah.
It really sucks. You know, they put on the ballot to vote for banning menthol cigarettes.
Yeah.
So so it passed. It's like, and I smoke Camel Crush, which is you crush it and it makes it a menthol cigarette. And now I can't buy them. So I have to have friends out of state like send me cartons of cigarettes because
Oh man.
my God, it's so.
Try the
pisses me off
vaping.
because,
Try the vaping.
I do have those like vaping cigarette thingamajiggers,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. It's not the same thing as a real cigarette.
No, that's true. That's true.
But
It's
I
definitely
could
better. It's
quit.
definitely better than the gum and the other stuff, though. I mean, as far
oh, no,
I don't know.
that wouldn't do it. No, gum. No, that wouldn't. No patches. No, that wouldn't do it for me. I need to have the whole experience of the whole with my fingers.
No, I
and putting
got
my-
you. I got you. I understand it.
You got-
You're preaching the choir here. You're preaching the
It's
choir.
the whole routine. It's the whole routine that I like.
It's even, by the way, with me, I actually like the smell of cigarettes. Like, I like the smell of it. Like, I don't think it's like a bad, I know a lot of people hate it, but I'm telling you, like, I actually genuinely like it. So, anyway,
I don't.
I've had you here now. My clock is saying for 18, almost 19 minutes. So,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
time flies. I
I'll
know.
let you go.
So, I just got to ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
Which guests should I
Yeah.
have on more frequently in
Oh
2023?
Jesus. Oh.
Or you just want no
God.
guests? To hell with the guests. They suck. All your
I
guests suck, Joe.
You don't really have very. I
I don't have
You
very
haven't
many.
either.
I don't have very many guests. I know. I find.
Yeah.
I think people like.
maybe-
I think most people prefer my show without guests. That's why.
Well, Viva Fry. I love him.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's
I like.
interesting.
I like Viva.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
I
Viva.
could
He's a
get. I
good
could probably get Viva on. Yeah, I could probably get him on more.
one. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
I love him.
Okay.
I watch him too.
All right. That's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll try. I'll try for that. Thank you. Appreciate that. You're a great slutty pie.
Yeah. Thank you for.
Have a
talking
great night
with me.
and Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Okay.
But Patrick T says, I don't sense that you all trust God. Look, if someone told you in 1939 that World War II is coming, does that mean that they're not trusting God? It's not a matter. I think that whatever happens is going to be for the best. That's where I'm trusting God, but not that it's going to be something that's going to be pleasant. We're all deep state if we can envision the fall of the country and postulate about which one of the two parties that led us there we would vote for. Fair enough. Fair enough. Does that mean I am where radio, but V radio? I guess it's spelled, I think, VI is how they would spell it normally. Jackal says, hey, brother. Oh, I should turn off my do not disturb. All right, you can call in now. Jackal says, hey, brother, may the coming year be prosperous and glorious, both of you, your children, and any grandkids here. Thank you so much. Thanks for the insight and the tirades. God bless. You are awesome. I appreciate your support, my brother. And Drop Barracuda says, high school French final exam. I told my teacher I grew up to be a beautiful wife. She literally couldn't stop laughing and rightfully failed me. You see, the most phenomenal thing about all this, Drop Barracuda, is I had zero clue you were a woman. Zero. I think you might have mentioned it once. I think you might have mentioned it. And I think I said the same thing that time also.
Call from.
Peahans.
To accept, press 1.
Of course I'm going
To send
to
a
accept. Of course I'm going to accept Pete. Pete! How are you?
Oh, how's it going, Joe?
I'm awesome. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good.
Mhm.
I was like thinking maybe we could redirect this back to actually the law. I put up like the New York Chick-fil-A.
The New York Chick-fil-A. Yeah. You're talking about how they're forcing them to stay open on Sundays. I saw that. I saw that you shared that with me in my locals. So Pete over here shared with me and my audience. I mean, I did not know until you shared it. I appreciate you sharing that, which was that there is a new requirement. I think I might have covered this even. I'm trying to remember whether it was in a dream that I covered it or whether I actually covered it or I just thought about covering it. But basically, I think the way I covered it was a very quick thing without actually like going at length into the story. But basically what you're referencing, I believe, is that New York is now saying that Chick-fil-A's have to open on Sunday, even though they close on Sunday for religious purposes, because there is a requirement that if you're going to be running your restaurant in these rest areas where people stop by, that they have to be open so that people can get their munchies filled or something to that effect. And you were talking about the First Amendment implications. They're asking them to violate their religious perspectives of staying closed on Sunday, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's a matter of religious freedom, First Amendment. You also have the combination with like First Amendment allowing corporations to give as much money as they want to political contributions, saying they have that right. So they have a right under the First Amendment. So why don't they have a right under the First Amendment to do their First Amendment religious objection and like, well, we're just going to be closed. And then it falls into like, okay, so if they're going to do this, because I think the law said something about they had to be open 7 days a week if they're within a certain distance of a highway. That's going to fall onto also onto Jewish and also onto Islamic. It's going to fall onto all religions. And if they have a religious holiday that they want to close, what are they going to do?
I assume so. You're asking a good question. I think that they're going to struggle to have this law upheld to the extent that it violates any religion. I think that they likely are going to struggle to have this make it all the way through the New York Court of Appeals and without it being recognized as being a First Amendment violation. I agree with you. I think it is completely a First Amendment violation. I don't know if there are any stores that closed, any Jewish stores that are close enough that I'm not aware of any. I have to see how close it would have to be in order to qualify. But putting that aside, I think that asking Christians to be open on Sunday when they purposefully close because of their religious beliefs, I don't even understand. I struggle to think about the argument that's going to be made that is going to show that this law is sufficiently narrowly tailored for a compelling interest. The compelling interest that New York State is citing is difficult to understand. When I was assessing this the first time, I was actually asking myself, I wonder how they have a right to how they can do that. It seems to be infringing on their basic property rights. Like I can open up property and keep it completely shut down 7 days a week if I wanted to. That the government doesn't have a right to compel me to be open. But it could be, what's likely the case is that these properties are owned, let's say, by landlord A, and he rents them out to these stores, and likely, I haven't seen any of these leases, but I would not be at all surprised if many of these leases that they have specifically agreed that the tenants have all agreed that they will comply with any local government ordinances. So if there's a new government ordinance, that would be the contractual basis where they would be forced into complicity with this new law. But I do think I think the question you're asking is the right question, which is, how is that not a violation of First Amendment rights? And the only way, look, does it mean you can never violate First Amendment rights? No, the government can, but it would have to be to serve an interest that is compelling. And I think it's hard to make the law has to be as narrowly tailored as possible. And that's because we when it comes to that First Amendment right, when it comes to First Amendment rights in general, we use a strict scrutiny standard when we're assessing the constitutionality of a law, and that's the yardstick of strict scrutiny is compelling interest and narrowly tailored. So when you're just thinking about this, so you can all understand what I'm saying here a little bit more completely. So we look at the law and we say, is the objective of this law to serve a compelling interest, not like something that's a good thing or a better thing, but this is a vital interest. It's compelling. If it's not serving a compelling interest and it's violating someone's First Amendment rights, in that case, it's invalid. Even if it is serving that compelling interest, then we look at the law, how it's affected, and is it as narrow as possible? Is there any way to shave it down so that it would be less violative of someone's First Amendment rights? And only then, if a statute passes both of those yardsticks, is it found to be constitutional? So I do expect that this would receive a strict scrutiny analysis. I struggle to to think to myself, how would the need for people to get food all of a sudden, that this is a brand new need, like, oh my God, if people can't get at the local store, they can't get their chicken sandwich, then society is going to crumble. That sounds ludicrous. So I'm on the same page. I'm on the same page as you are. I don't think this is gonna hold up at the end of the day.
Because the strict scrutiny would be like, well, why don't you mandate 24/7 service?
By that logic,
by that logic, you're saying 24/7. They need to be there all the time. And then you come into, like, I think Social Justice Warrior did a video on it, and he was talking about alcohol laws. And you have bar closure times, but that's the time in which the business can't operate, not the time that the business must operate. Right. You can operate less than that. You can't operate more than that.
Yeah.
So
there's another element that isn't it also compelling people to work? Like it's just such forget about the religious element of it, of this sort of an indentured servitude element to it, that like, I don't want to be open during these hours that you want. Forget if someone's not religious, they're like, it's not violating my religious interests. It's a matter of, I just really don't want to have to be open these hours. It's not worth it for me financially. It's not worth it for like whatever. And I don't want to have to, and I don't want to have to be the one who's manning the store there. And now you're compelling me that I have to work or pay someone to be there. It seems, even if we take out the First Amendment element to it, the entire notion behind this law seems really bizarre. It sounds, I think it might be more fluff than anything. I don't see how Kathy Hochul can actually think this is going to hold up in court, but
no, it's not going to hold up in court. It's clearly not going to, but it's, even like you said, it may not affect the Jewish community in New York City, but I think it actually could, because I think it was based on like a certain distance from the highway, and going through at New York City, you're probably going to fall into that distance in some of the neighborhoods that are Jewish communities. And they're going to say, you must be open on a Saturday then.
Okay. So I'll tell you this much. I mean, I've been around New York City enough to know that when it comes to Queens, when you're talking about any of these stores that are, let's say, serving food, that very, very few of them are within, let's say, 0.3 of a mile from a highway exits. They're all at least half a mile.
3/10.
I'm assuming that it's not going to go more than 3/10 of a mile beyond. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't
It
imagine.
may go that. That's what I'm saying. Is I've been through there. My father's from New York. I go through there a lot. So that's why I'm like, I understand the highways. Go off the George Washington Bridge, cut across, go over. I go out onto Long Island a lot for a business entity I'm out there at. And it's like, yeah, you could fall into that very easily and not think you're going to. But if they put it out at a quarter mile,
do you know what the statute number
put it
is?
out at a half a mile.
I want to look at how far it extends out. I thought it would, when I first read the article that you shared, I didn't even realize it goes first. I thought it was just like these rest areas that are actually on the highway.
That's what I thought too, was it rest areas. And I'm like, if it's just rest areas, yeah, that's governed by the state because the state owns the rest area. So then they can have some governance over the renting and leasing of those spaces.
Right.
But if it's actually just based on like a distance from the highway, I'm like, that becomes really crazy because it's no longer like the government actually owns the property, they're leasing it.
No,
that definitely is not going to meet it. Like, I understood them maybe trying to be like, we're going to regulate our own rest stops and they must be open 24/7 because it's our rest stop and we control the property.
I want to see if I can find what you shared here. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually linked to the actual law. I haven't read the law on it yet to see what they were extending it out, but I've heard a bit of it. And I'm like, this does not make sense. Like, I understood rest stops because those are definitely government-owned properties and they're leasing them.
Yeah, so it's, let me see if they have. I found an article here about this. Oh, come on, I don't want advertisements. Apparently, Lindsey Graham is very upset about it also.
Well,
who cares?
Freckles can go back to being Freckles.
Yeah. Here's the New York bill.
Lindsey Graham gets upset at a lot of things, including like Ukraine and everything else. I don't think Lindsey Graham's worth for anything.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah, he's a joke.
Yeah, this is not the article. This is not the actual bill. New York. Senator Graham declares war against New York bill forcing some Chick-fil-A stations to be open. Yeah, I definitely looked at this last week at some point on the air here. Why can't I find the stupid bill? I'm struggling to find the bill.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right.
I'm just saying it may be something that pops up in the future, but I view it as it's unconstitutional, but it depends on where they're applying it.
Are you excited to see that the Supreme Court denied cert? I didn't cover this, by the way. I mean, I should. So while I have you here on the air with me, because you're a good person to have on the air for this. So last week on Friday, the New York Supreme Court came back in their decision that Jack Smith wanted to have expedited and leapfrog over the District Circuit Court and jump right to the Supreme Court for a decision on this presidential immunity. And he signed an application that it should be heard by the court and expedited. And they said, we want to hear from Trump on this as to what his position is on it. And his position was like, hell no, we should go through the circuit court first. We should go through the
that's a double-edged sword because he's not going to win in the Circuit Court of D.C.
Yeah, but he figures it's not going to hurt him, and it's just going to take that much longer.
But he didn't support going cert to Supreme Court, which was his option when Jack decided to do it.
Yeah, but he explained. I went through his papers, and he went.
Yeah, I went through those with you.
Right. So he did spend some time going on as to how there's a reason why the Supreme Court has traditionally allowed the circuit courts to bake these decisions
Yeah.
and start fleshing that out, and that's a benefit that they help hone down the issues. So just because he's saying I don't want to leapfrog that step doesn't mean that he's saying, and he admitted in there, he's like, if we lose, we're going to be making an application to the Supreme Court, but
but they can deny it at that point. That's the question.
Yeah,
like, that's my question. Like,
but they could deny it. They could deny it now
could
also.
Go and appeal, and that's why I'm like, could he have just joined in Jack's jumping to the next level? I'm going to go right to the Supreme Court, and it's a double edge. It's like you're gonna, because he had the right to at that point. I believe the Supreme Court shouldn't have taken cert because there was not anything that Jack could appeal to the Supreme Court. He won all the issues.
Right.
You can't jump, and you can't do that.
That was the point.
You're
Trump
not an
made.
appellate at that point.
Yeah, that's what Trump. That was exactly the point. That was another point that Trump made, that they had no basis.
But he could have joined in Jack and said, "Yeah, go ahead, bring it up to the Supreme Court."
Yeah, I don't think he's really risking that much. I think that if he loses at the circuit court level, which I would tend to agree with you.
Little.
I don't think he's less likely to get cert. I don't think he's. I don't think the Supreme Court is going to allow this to stand if the circuit court. I don't think they're going to allow it to go forward. I don't think that they will. I don't think he's really risking.
But I also understand the compelling interest of actually developing the case further in the circuit and in the appeals court.
Yeah.
Like, well, you go to the appellate because you want to develop that case further before you bring it to SCOTUS.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just jump there because you want the appellate court to review it, give their opinion, then you can argue on their opinion at SCOTUS. And when you
what I like about this outcome, though, what I really like about it is Jack Smith is famous for losing the last time he came before the Supreme Court 9-0. And now we could arguably say he's lost 18-0 because no one stepped out and said, I would grant cert, but basically as from the 9 Supreme Court justices, he's never convinced a single one that he's right about anything so far. He's 0 for 18 and getting a single justice to agree with his legal prescience. So I think that's funny. So
it's funny. Yeah, it's definitely funny. It's like a double-edged sword. It's like you could take it there.
I know. I had a similar thought. I don't think he's really risking much. I wouldn't worry about that.
It's a little, not much. It's a little because he could have just said, "Yeah, join in," and he could. Well, he's joining in at that point. Then
here's the thing.
Deny again.
Here's the thing.
They want to go through normal process.
Here's the thing. Once they grant certs, so now it's going to be back on hold again. So Jack Smith's going to be like, "Yeah, you have to," and they can throw back in Jack Smith's face. You said that the only one who can be a proper arbiter of this is the Supreme Court. You admitted that in your papers when you brought this application. We brought this application in December of 2023. So, on what basis?
He also admitted that it would delay the court case by, I think, 45 days and then by 90 days.
Yeah, but
45 days.
But he failed to. But the point is, in their application for cert, what they could say is even Jack Smith recognized that this court is the proper arbiter. So you're saying there's a risk that now maybe the Supreme Court's not going to take it after it goes through the DC Circuit Court. What I'm saying to you is they can always use Jack Smith's own papers from this month against him as a basis to how it's obvious that the court has to grant cert. So,
well, the question then becomes: will DC come back with an opinion before June, before the end of the session for?
I think they will.
SCOTUS?
They will because they have it on.
Yeah, I think so too.
They have it on an expedited schedule. They're supposed to be having oral arguments on January 9th. So,
well, I think that's ridiculous too because that's also denying his due process.
Yeah. Well, they're going to do what they're going to do. Anyway, let me let you go, brother. I got to get a couple other calls here, but I appreciate you as always, and good chat, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Who do you want to see me get on?
All of them.
Who do you want to see me get on more frequently in 2024?
I would like to see Robert Gouveia actually spread out a bit more because a lot of people watch him, but he doesn't show up on a lot of other shows.
I know,
because I think he's like the busiest man in the world some days.
Yeah,
he left his own law practice at this point, so it's like
he's awesome and he's a fun chat and he's really smart. So, and he's someone I actually will text Like I'll send
You
him phone
also
texts
have-
here and there. So
The guy that wrote the report on Biden, what's his name? The big thick document, like 400 pages of all the Hunter Biden laws that were broken.
I didn't remember that.
You could, I'll have to post it. It's can't remember his name, but he's actually in a legal conflict with Hunter Biden in California because he's suing him for defamation. Hunter is, and it's, what is that one called? I'll put the link, but that's what Robert Gervais had the guy on the show a couple times. But it's interesting because he's gone through like the laptop, all the emails. He's the guy that posted out where you have a search engine for all of Hunter Biden's emails. You can go in there. I found the phone numbers of Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton. All these phone numbers are in those emails. I don't post them but they're in there because it's the Hunter Biden laptop. He has all this shit on it, and it's gonna just show up in it. But I have to find it. I'll post it on Locals for you, so you can maybe invite him as a guest.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, my brother. Have a great night and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Joe.
Take care, my brother. All right, Audie Joe. I've never been to New York. Are you Brooklyn, Bronx, or Manhattan, Staten Island? Would love to visit New York. I grew up in Queens. See, the whole Bismarck, Queens. There you go. So I grew up in Queens. And I'm living in Jersey now. So I never, ever, 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 ever wanted to live in Brooklyn. Right. In fact, when I was dating my wife and things were getting serious. So so I asked her where she would want to live. She said, Brooklyn is nice. Because she came from Brooklyn. And I said, Queens is nice. She goes, I guess Queens isn't so bad. So I said, well, that's good because Brooklyn sucks. So I did not want to live in Brooklyn. I did not want to. There's a lot of reasons I didn't want to live there. So yeah, and thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, Audio Joe. Drop Barracuda, real question. Free speech is a right, but there's a law protecting it. Example, why aren't cancel campaign leaders jailed for attacking free speech? Because they're not government. In what context? First of all, we don't jail anyone for what they say. That would be a violation of their First Amendment rights. So, but if you're talking about like someone who's a member of government,
Call from
VSync, third try.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press
Who?
Hey, hello.
Who's this?
This is VSync. I'm in the Rumble chat. I don't know if you're watching it.
I do. I peek in there. It's once in a while. Once in an odd while, I peek on in there. So, but I do see. I see you there. You were. So you're saying that you were this close before. But
yes. My I had a fancy headset with a mute button right on it, and I had it toggled, so I didn't realize that.
All right, give me 1 second. Let me just finish up these super chats, and then I'll... All right. So to answer your question, Drop Barracuda. So if it's not a political person, in that case, there's not a government issue here, so it's not a free speech issue because that's only First Amendment only stops government from doing anything. If it's a government person who's talking in the context of a congressional hearing or something like that, or trying to pass a law or something of that nature, that would be canceling people. That is they have legislative immunity there. So I think that probably covers almost any scenario. And if they're speaking out in the street, well, in that case, they have their First Amendment rights. So that's why, and also we don't jail people for what they say. We just don't do that. Why does the left think that they can push this envelope against Chick-fil-A? What are they planning next on the dock? Testing the waters for a cannonball? I don't know. It could be just that Kathy Hochul's a bitch. Which she is. Legislation, Prospering Woman says, legislation proposed last week would require all food vendors operating at rest stops owned by the New York State Thruway Authority to open every day. That is what we were discussing. me and Mr. P. Hands. Debbie says, send you an DM with link to proposed New York legislation about open on Sunday. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Debbie. You're too kind. All right. So I'm going to pull that up while you're talking to me. What's on your mind tonight, V-Sync?
Yes, two things. One was on the topic of the revolution idea or insurrection or what have you. Like, when is it the right level? And I had a small bone to pick with you, or a suggestion, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, going back to that whole topic of when is it too far? When do you actually start considering armed resistance, armed revolution? It reminds me of Karl Popper, right? And not the one that you see brought up on like discussion forums. There's always that, I think, oatmeal comic or whatever. But it's sort of a canard. They bring up that, Popper says that you must be intolerant of intolerance, and therefore that means we have to punch Nazis, and that means if I think you're intolerant, you must be a Nazi, and there ipso facto I must punch you now, right?
Okay.
So number one, I just sort of disagree with that idea on principle, but that wasn't even what Popper, philosopher of science and other things, but he also was reasoning about that, and he said that the point at which you should act physically or coercively is the point at which it becomes impossible to discuss ideas tolerantly, which is a big difference from someone who's intolerant of other ideals. So I would say it's, it kind of reminded me of that topic, and sort of, I guess the analogy would be at the point at which it becomes impossible to operate your Republican institutions or your democratic process, not just when there's someone who's against those things, or there's something that hasn't worked its way through the system, is kind of how I'd look at that.
I'm mulling that around in my brain. You can't have conversation when dialogue is clamped down. What if that comes after?
What comes after?
What if dialogue is suppressed only after there's been other forms of tyranny which basically make it impossible to affect change?
Interesting.
Because I think that's
the argument people would make, right? Is that there's either a slippery slope, or they'd say, yeah, I just feel I don't know, would that even be possible? I'm trying to imagine a scenario in which you could just put something through without the consent of the governed, without.
Dude, where were you in 2020?
Yeah.
I mean, we see that happen all the time. Now, it wasn't fortunately to that extreme, but I'm saying is if like all of a sudden they said, yeah, that president's the 2-term limit is gone, or the elections are so obviously corrupt without any that it's like that they basically are irredeemably tainted, and anyone who I guess that there would be some sort of suppression of speech in that. It would be like anyone who discusses that would be punished, perhaps.
Which is kind of funny, because I would say 2020 is like, well, the other side would say the same thing. I would say that's Trump, etc. They're the ones trying to break down the system, except there's kind of only one side suppressing speech around that issue, isn't there? Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it just reminded me of that.
I'll tell you something. That's a yardstick that I think has merit. Dean asked me that question, and I was trying to come up with an answer for him off the top of my head, but it's possible that your answer is better. I need to think about it more.
Popper was a smart guy. I can't really take credit for quoting him, but
no, that could be a better answer. It could be.
Yeah, Hey, one thing I wanted to note real quick, if you have a second. So you're mentioning the code giveaways or whatever, which is, really generous. I mean, you're putting this out there. This is, you're trying something to make work, but that's really appreciated. So I just noted, like, I had, just the last few years actually has been pretty tough.
If you need a code,
my wife and
if you
I've
need
still
a
been.
code, this is what I'll do. I'll pop you out. And I'll send you a code. So that's fine.
All right, that's cool. Just so you know, that I tried reaching a couple of times, so I don't know. I think it's hard sometimes people get through. So just to make you aware, I don't know.
This is what I'm gonna do. I'll do it fast. I'll do it a faster way, okay, than what I did right now. I'll actually mute myself, and I'll just give you the code. Okay. I'll mute myself, and I'll take off my camera. Give me 3 seconds here while I mute myself.
$3 for 23 or free for 23? Oh, shoot, I said it. Oh, okay, I hope you muted me too. Anyway. Okay. Well, listen, I appreciate it, but I just want to let you know also, I signed up. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And for what it's worth, I was actually already a subscriber. It's been a little less tight the last couple months, but yeah.
All right, and the microphone, so everyone can hear us again. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, and I just want to let you know it's been a little less tight the last few months. But also I ended up just subscribing anyway to
they heard the caller
to watch that the Prince of Egypt stuff you did. So that was enough to I skipped something else. So I really appreciated that content you did. I think the movie reviews are super interesting. So
sweet.
Thanks for putting that stuff out there. So there's a vote for more of that content, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I anyone who can help me figure out what content is appreciated is that much. It just helps guide me into like areas that are actually helping people. Apparently, I didn't mute, so there you go.
Yeah, I guess nobody was muted.
I don't know. I don't understand how that happened.
We both been
Maybe
boomering the mute button today. So.
No, it's because I muted myself on my camera, but like I didn't mute from the phone. So apparently I had to pop that out. Oh well. You know what? If someone's gonna try and if someone wants to basically backdoor and that they can pay and just don't want to, well, you know what? It's literally has like 1 week left on it. So like
someone's typing it in there for the benefit of those who didn't hear. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, so they're saying I was muted but you weren't. All right. Well, anyway.
Sorry. Yeah, but thanks, man. That's much appreciated. And again, thanks for all the great content. It's exciting. So.
My pleasure. Have a happy holidays. Merry Christmas, my brother.
You too, man. Thanks.
Take care. All right. And like I said, if someone is that hungry to to get my content for free for a month, all right. I'm not losing sleep over that. I'm definitely not losing sleep over that. So okay, so I'll take like 1 or 2 more calls before I wrap up over here. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Dum bum bum. Da bum bum. Da dum bum bum. Ba bum bum.
Call.
Yellow.
Hi, Joe. I made it. Yay.
You made
How
it.
you doing? Sorry, I'm really tired.
That's okay. That's all right. You made it. Yay. Woohoo.
Yay.
All right.
How you doing, Joe?
Okay, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. 5986 was a hell of a year, though.
Look at you throwing out the Jewish year.
I know. Jew jokes, right?
Yeah. What's your name?
By the way,
you didn't give me your first name.
My first name is Alexander.
All right. Do I know you in the chat?
I go by Alex.
Do I know you in the chat by any name?
Oh, did Google Voice not catch it? I'm Master Phillips.
Oh, no, it didn't. Someone else was calling at the same time. How you doing, Phillips?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I've been taking some notes this stream because you've mentioned like so many things that I want to mention. Or just
Let's do it.
Touch upon like
9
30
minutes left.
seconds each.
9 minutes left for you to
All right.
hit me out of here.
All right. Beautiful. All right. Well, you mentioned Supernatural. Have you watched all of Supernatural?
No. I stopped watching Supernatural like in season, like, I don't know, 9 or something like that. At a certain
I was
point,
about to say, I was going to guess about 8 or 9 is probably about where you stop. Push through. It gets good again. It comes around again.
oh my God. It's so stupid how they can't, even when they die, they're not dead.
I know,
It's
but
so
oh, Joe,
stupid.
it's so good. It gets good.
so
It gets good again.
Stupid.
All right. Well,
I can't. I was like, I just can't. I can't. I'm like, it's like if you when a show takes characters in a show take on that sort of God capacity of like, it doesn't matter if they're dead, doesn't matter if they're alive. You know they're coming back. It's like what's the there's nothing being invested anymore. It's
all right. Well, I appreciate that argument, and if you don't want to finish it, I understand.
But you're
there was a happy ending. There was a happy ending for both the boys. That's all I'll say.
All right.
That's all.
All right. So was there? Did it end? Has it ended? Has it ended?
It is over. It is over.
And
yes. And I believe
Uh-huh.
it was on Netflix. I don't have Netflix anymore, but it
Neither
was
do
all
I.
on Netflix at some point.
Yeah. Did Jared and the other dude? Do they hate each other, or do they actually in real life still, or are they getting along? Now?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know any of the behind the scenes stuff really about that stuff.
All right. What else?
Okay. All right. I kind of want to pat myself on the back for correctly guessing that Weird Al song. I don't know, like a month or two ago.
Right.
That you randomly referenced. I was more surprised than I think you were that someone knew that.
Wait, which line was it?
You were singing the drive-through song.
Yeah. Why would I? Which line was it? Why would I want to eat liver? I don't even
Oh
like
my
liver.
God. Oh my. I couldn't.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know.
Oh, and that's all I could say was oh.
Yeah. You like just randomly popped that in the chat while you were streaming.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like I've heard that before. What is that?
In my
And I swear to God,
family, it's got such lore, that song, by now, that I cannot have anyone serving liver without like one of my nephews going, why would I want to eat liver? I don't even like liver. They will invariably. I think my 9-year-old has never heard this song, and she'll sing it on tune. Why would I want to eat liver? I don't even like liver. That's how often she's heard the joke. So
I didn't want to Google it, and I almost did, but I was like, no, I'm just gonna guess, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I was surprised that I was able to pull that out of the air.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I recently learned that you have a favorite college football team, but I don't know do you have a baseball team?
Of course I have a baseball team. Come on.
If you're a Yankees fan, Joe, I might have to hang up.
All right. Adios.
No. Okay. I'm kidding. 2001. I love you.
Oh, you're a Diamondback fan?
Yeah. I live in Phoenix.
Okay. All right. That was
born and raised.
Well, it was such a ripoff. First of all, Luis Gonzalez was the most obvious steroid user in the history of the sport, and don't even try to tell him
he wasn't even in my top 5 favorite players.
Yeah, but he's the one who ended up winning the World Series for them because he had so much juice in his thing that when he cracked his bat, the ball ended up falling over Jeter's head. So his juicing is why New York, after suffering through 9/11, couldn't at least have a little bit of an salve.
I was wondering
because that sheet was so busy juicing himself that he was so full of freaking muscles that he was able to muscle out a broken bat bloop single over Jeter's head to win Game 7 for them. But
hey guys, hey chat, you know how Joe will say like one thing on Nick's stream and get Nick going? That's what I just did, Joe, by mentioning the 2001 World Series. Okay, next topic. We were talking about the Revolution. That's pretty cool. Have you seen John Adams, the HBO miniseries?
Yes, I have. With starring that guy, starring that guy who's a very underrated actor in the title role.
Paul Giamatti. He's great in that.
Yeah, he is phenomenal in it. The a couple of scenes in there which are very entrenched in my brain, like the tar and feathering scene from that series, which I was like, I never realized how barbaric tarring and feathering
Mm-hmm.
is until you actually are watching someone being tarred and literally tarred, like covered in hot tar and feathers, which frequently killed people when they would do it.
Sure.
It's like basically putting boiling oil on them. And
well, and I think that scene's in the Boston Harbor, right?
Yeah.
So it would be so cold too.
Yeah.
And the guy's naked. Anyway. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That
so
and when he meets King
George.
That when he meets King George and the extensive bowing.
Yes.
And the amount of but it just goes to appreciate it was an accepted thing for several millennia. We don't appreciate the level of respect that was given to royalty for several millennia that has completely eroded over the last couple of centuries, which is an interesting thing because like when you approach, you bow. When you take a step forward, to 2 steps forward, and then bow again, another 2 steps forward, and then bow again, and it's like this deep bow where it's like basically like you're coming to a god. That's essentially what it's like.
His exasperation with the English monarchy, like protocols, and then when he's in France as the ambassador, he's exasperated with like their promiscuity and stuff. It's so funny. He's like super prude, and he's the guy that always gets sent to Europe. Anyway, so you actually touched upon another topic, which is why I brought up John Adams. First of all, if I ever admitted to crying, I would mention the Declaration of Independence.
The reading of that
scene.
At the end of one of those episodes.
Well, right, when they vote to send it off and then read it out. Yeah. If I ever admitted to crying, that would be one of my triggers.
They show Abigail Adams reading it to her kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not crying. You're crying.
That is a great scene. Did you ever watch the series Turn?
No, my mom told me to watch.
Oh my god! I'm going to recommend to you and to everyone. You find it. I don't know where you can find this series. It's a mini series called Turn, which is set in the American Revolutionary War, and it's based on a true story of the Culper spy ring, which basically talks about the first American spies ever and how they. And you see the drama of the conflict between Tories and between loyalists and members of the revolution. You see the what it was. You actually can. It helps you feel what it was like living in the colonies while they're going through this, where you have British soldiers who some people are actually like really genuinely friends with them. They're like, like genuinely become good friends with them and know them on a personal level. And the nature of the relationship and all the efforts that they go through in order to establish some way of learning about some steps that are happening, or the steps the British are taking. There's so much drama and there's such phenomenal acting and writing. I cannot possibly over recommend the miniseries Turn, Turn, Turn. It's a great intro also to each of the episodes. But yeah, where were you going with this? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. So the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
Where I was kind of the cornerstone.
Yeah.
So 1776, but really, we were already pissed off in 1776. We were so pissed off that we were going to tell the king, sometimes people need to say goodbye to their current ruler and start anew. So, and I believe by that point it had been about 20 or 25 years of the British, slowly encroaching, and they treated America nicer than most of their other parts of their empire because we were the cash, we were the money printer. So they didn't want to, make us mad. Also, we were far away. So I think people have been asking tonight, what's the point of revolution? What's the point that we?
What's the cutoff point that we're at the point of no return that we should take up arms? At what point do we take up arms?
Right. That ultimately, at what point do we take up arms? And we really didn't take up arms first. We used our words first. Like you tell your kids, I don't have kids, but I remember when my little brother was, we use our words, we don't, act out or whatever. So we said, and, it would be really cool, maybe Joe, if you have a slow news day, you can go through the Declaration of Independence. That would be really cool. Cause I love just how it's phrased and in John Adams, when they're all Ben Franklin, John Adams, and Thomas Jefferson are all at his place, and they're like editing it. You know what I mean? I think it's so cool. I love that.
Yeah,
So
I think they argue about whether it's inalienable or unalienable, and
right, yeah,
yeah,
right.
All right,
yeah,
no,
and,
it's a great series that I recommend that people check out. In fact, I started watching it a second time and I forgot to like, I got tied into something else, but I went through it once and then I think I made it like halfway through a second time. But you see the constant fight for a survival over disease when they were dealing with
oh my God,
smallpox. I mean, it's just and the creation of inoculations. It's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's really like a crazy thing.
It's pretty horrific.
Yeah.
So,
anyway,
my headphone died, but I'm on my.
We gotta start wrapping up anyway, because I'm at the 11-minute mark with you. So
right, but all right. So, but just real quick, just a perspective. Comparatively to the rest of the Western world, America is very young. So I think everyone's kind of worried that like we're just gonna like cease to exist in like 5 or 10 years. And I was black-pilled for a lot of 2022 and part of this year, but I've really come to realize like there's a lot of longevity that's kind of built in that I think if it's only hopeless if we let it get hopeless, you know what I mean? And if we act like it's hopeless, then it is hopeless. So I think that's kind of just my parting tiring words. So
that's a great Christmas thought. I like that.
I was just about to say, I think it's the Christmas spirit getting into me, my Jewish heart. But all right, I'll say good night, Joe, and I hope you and yours are doing great.
You too,
oh, you have 2 questions for me, don't you?
Yeah. Okay. So answer them quick. Vice President, who do you want?
VP. If Trump is the P, Vivek. Easy. Great insurance policy. If they get rid of Trump, then they're stuck with Vivek, and good luck trying to sell America on him being a racist.
They really are trying to sell everyone on that. Did you see Van Jones and his whole spiel and how?
Oh my God!
To go eat crap. Like
he said he was literally shaking. He said the Beeb, like that's the Beeb, literally shaking. I can't believe he actually said that out loud.
And which guest do you want me to have on more?
I really like your dad.
Okay.
He's a cool guy, but you actually introduced me to Sitch and Adam. I think you had Adam on.
I did
within the past year or so.
Sitch is mad at me,
and I love
Sitch is mad at me. Like I mean,
I don't know that lore.
Yeah, no one knows that lore. I don't talk about the backroom drama that happened.
Okay, well, don't talk. All right,
other creators.
Sitch wouldn't like you to talk about it either. Don't talk about YouTube drama if it's.
I mean, I'll tell you this much. This particular incident I can share with everyone, which is that. At one point, I was covering something that they had covered, and I basically said something to the fact that they acted in bad faith in the way they argued, or that Sitch acted in bad. I don't remember if I say both of them or whatever, but I was like, basically, I was critical in a way that Sitch took offense that I was basically calling him a liar or whatever, and I apologized to him. I apologized the next night on my show, and I apologized to him privately, but he basically doesn't respond to me at all. Adam will respond to me, but Sitch apparently took it very personally, which is unfortunate because I happen to like and respect both of them, and I really spoke too aggressively. So I don't know. Maybe they'll find the Christmas spirit.
Okay. Well,
but
if either one of them are watching, okay, yeah. Well, if either one of them are watching, Sitch or Adam, you guys are great. I don't always agree with you, and I would say you're my favorite YouTubers that I don't agree with all the time. Joe, I agree with you basically on everything, so it's almost kind of boring watching you sometimes.
I get that.
But
I get that. Yeah, I can.
But Sitch and Adam, you know, they anger my elephant sometimes. I don't know if you know their phrase, phrase that they use, but they anger my elephant sometimes, and it makes me self-reflect on why my elephant's getting the way it is about certain things. So yeah, I appreciate them for that. And I will say good night to you in chat. And I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas.
Have a good night, my friend. Take care.
All right. Good night.
All right. So I pulled this up over here. I'm looking at this very quickly before I get to phone calls. I'll get back to phone calls in a minute. But looking at this very quickly, the Public Authorities Law is amended by adding a new Section 390, contracts for food service. Any contracts entered into for the operation of food services or food concessions at public transportation facilities owned or operated by the authorities shall require that such services be provided every day of the week. For the purposes of this section, the term public transportation facilities shall mean and include throughway rest areas, service areas, and welcome centers. Provisions of section should not apply to temporary concessions or events, including farmers markets, flea markets, or local vendors. License permitted. So it doesn't seem like it applies to anyone who's off the highway from what I see here. Let's just looking at this quickly. And the rest of this seems relatively, the effective date, 30th day after it becomes law. And Section 2 will only come in if New Jersey passes it, which is the Port of Authority of New York and New Jersey. So it wouldn't apply to the New Jersey thing. I don't see how it applies to things that are not by the authority. So this is areas that are owned by the government. Shall require that such services be provided every day of the week. What else we have here? Establish a policy that contracts for the operation of food service or food concessions at transportation facilities owned by such authority. Shall require such service to be provided every day of the week. For the purpose of the section, term transportation facilities should mean and include bus stations, train stations, rest areas, and marine terminal facilities. The provisions of the section shall not apply to temporary concessions. Is there anything else? That's it. So I don't think it applies to any of these other areas. And it does seem like they have a contractual relationship with the state of New York, which is why the state of New York thinks that they can do this. So, but I still think that they're going to have problems. I think they're going to have problems. Cedar Rose! How are you, Cedar? Yule log symbolizes birth of Jesus by some, while others claim it symbolizes Jesus' triumph over sin, but roots in Scandinavian and German paganism. Well, there you go. There you go. We see. Now we both know. If I were to send a letter to someone in the Bronx, would I put Bronx on the envelope or New York, New York? You would put Bronx, New York. Usually you would put BX, not Bronx. You would just say BX period. Bronx, New York. Drop Barracuda says something to enjoy off stream. Check out YouTube video named Lavelle Crawford on Barack Obama and Donald Trump. Hilarious bit. So off stream, I'm going to trust you on that. Lavelle Crawford. Lavelle Crawford. Barack Trump. Okay, we'll come back to that sometime when I'm not with the rest of you. 540 here, 360. What? Like, 540 here, 360 thumbs up likes. Come on, followers, do your cult jobs as our leader needs us. Thank you, Worcestershire. I appreciate that. I was actually noticing how I was down at 44 likes. I'm all the way up to 61 likes on Rumble. There you go. Out of the 246 of you watching. Way to go. Coming through. Solid as ever. By the way, Joseph and Mary are stalking you across channels. Who Joseph and Mary? Who's that? What does that mean? What should that mean? All right. Give me, if you've been trying to reach me and you haven't, just put in the chat your area code and I'll see if you're someone who's here regularly, I'll try to call you back. Okay? So if you're trying to reach me and I recognize you as like a regular, I'll try to call you back. So put your area code. Area code? Either area code or last 4 digits, whichever you prefer. And I'll try to call you back. Anyone interested in Real Christmas Miracle? Check out the Christmas Truce of 1914. There's a song by Sabaton about it and an animated video as well. The Christmas Truce of 1914 is an amazing story. It really is. It's an amazing story. in World War One, where all of a sudden they literally started playing, I think, soccer with each other, with the enemy for one day. They're like, we're not going to kill each other for one day. It's pretty cool. I want Cash as VP and Trump as a guest. I like that. I like that Cash Patel suggestion a lot. Sitch cannot even get Iraq straight. V Radio does not like Sitch. I know that. We know this. Or V Radio as a guest. There you go. All right. I should turn back on my all right. I'll try getting you both. Who put first? That's not what I wanted to do. That's very much not what I wanted to do. All right. No one sees numbers. Go away. Okay. Let me get these two.
Hello.
Yo, OKC. How are you?
I'm good.
Ho, ho, ho. Have you been a good boy this year?
Yeah. Yes, I have.
Here I am coming down your chimney. So, what's on your mind tonight?
How are you doing?
Oh, you're enjoying Christmas. Oh, you're enjoying it.
Perhaps.
Ah. Anything you want to get off your chest? Because I'm going to let you go in like a minute, OKC.
Okay.
All right. Feel good. Enjoy the holiday. Enjoy, my brother. Have a good night. Good hearing from you.
You too.
Take care. I think he needs sleep.
Hello.
Oh, you.
Hello. Oh,
it's good Lawgic. Yeah, there you go.
it's Joe. It's Mandy.
Yeah. What's on your mind?
Sorry, I was just about to go out. I was just about to go outside and smoke a cigarette. Crap.
Everything okay?
Yeah. Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
What do the Dallas Cowboys and the Texas climate have in common?
I don't know. Why don't you tell me? What the?
Well, they always peak around the 90s.
That's not bad.
Hey, Joe.
That's not bad at all.
Hey, Joe, why can't the Cowboys eat a bowl of soup?
Why can't the Cowboys eat a bowl of soup? I don't know. Why can't the Cowboys eat a bowl of soup?
Well, they always choke when they get around close to a bowl.
That's weaker.
Okay. Hey, Joe.
What? What's on your mind?
Why do the Dallas Cowboys cry whenever they have sex?
Why?
Well, that's because of the pepper spray.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
All right.
That's pretty.
All right, I'm sorry.
That one was not bad. That was pretty good.
All right. All right, I'll hang up. I just wanted to get some Cowboys jokes from you because people on locals are telling me to call in for you. So.
No, that was well done. Well done indeed. You got a couple of really solid ones in there. All right. Are you having a Merry Christmas? Are you having good holidays?
No, not really. But then again, I'm used to bad stuff happening to me. So.
Do you want to talk about it?
Not really.
Okay. I'm not gonna put you on a spot to talk about it in front of like 500 people. But
all right. Well, enjoy your show and hello everybody.
Merry Christmas. I hope your holidays end up going well for you.
All right, you too.
All right, have a good night.
All right, good night.
Okay. 2 out of 3 is pretty good. 2 out of 3 is pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. Joe is Santa-ish. A non-hamster. 19 freaking months for that. I'm going to give you see the Trump Christmas campaign ad today with Sarah Sanders. Maybe the campaign is putting out feelers for Sarah Sanders as VP. That I would not be surprised by. That's actually an interesting call. That's an interesting call, Sarah Sanders. She's okay. She's okay. It's not bad. It's not a bad terrible. That's not a terrible call. Not a terrible call. That's an interesting. And that's, you see, that's showing insight that you're sort of thinking, why are they choosing her? Why would they choose her? Maybe it is a way of putting out feelers as to, like, how do people feel about Sarah Sanders? Former press secretary for Trump, always stayed loyal to him. As governor of Arkansas, has enacted some laws that have rung the right note with MAGA base. Woman. It's really not bad. That's not a bad guess at all. It's hard for me to think of someone who's a more likely candidate. Always has been consistently loyal to Trump, which is a big thing to him, you know. So you see how that's not so easy to find. I mean, look at Kayleigh McEnany, right? So, and established that she was a winner in winning Arkansas. A lot of reasons to think that Sarah Sanders is probably one of a few named on a very short list. Very insightful. Great job, Anand. Great job. I like it. I like it. All right, let's see what other numbers we have up here. What other numbers we have up here? Take one more call. Take one more call. There's one more person here has been trying. There's a couple people who've been trying to get through. Kristi Noem seems a little bit more DeSantis-ish. She had one take on something that was really bothering me. I was like, really, Kristi? She's also, I mean, the Dakotas are the most forgotten states in the country. Like, I don't even remember if she's from North or South Dakota. I think North. But it's
Call from
Ann Feinstein.
She had one take on something that was... And she's not... Ann Feinstein is not spam. I don't know why it is that you identified as suspected spam.
I don't know either. Probably because it's a Skype number.
Ah, yes, that would explain it.
But that's because I get no cell service at my house.
Okay. I don't know if you call me from Skype. You can rub together 2 tin cans. If whatever works that we all can hear you works for me. How you been, Ann?
I have been doing fabulous. So I just wanted to call in, and I know the 2 questions you were asking everybody. I want to see your father on more. Those are my most rewatched episodes.
Okay.
And I think Nikki Haley would be one heck of a VP.
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Oh, please say no.
She'd argue with him.
Okay, first of all, no. Second of all, no.
Okay, why?
She wants to start World War III. You know, okay, let me explain something to you. I'm glad you brought up her name because I was thinking about this the other day. She fancies herself as being like Ronald Reagan in high heels. That's how she fancies herself, you know, like, and she's constantly talking about peace through strength, peace through strength, peace through strength. Ask yourself this, you know, okay, he got involved in Grenada. You say Grenada, I say Grenada, but he's not exactly a warmonger. He believed peace through strength to Ronald Reagan was if people know that we have a great deal of strength, they will listen to us and we'll have peace because they're not going to want to mess with us. That is completely different from Haley's version of peace through strength, which is if I don't like you, I want to see you obliterated from the planet. And we'll spend more money and send more troops. That is not peace through strength. That's strength through strength. That's all it is. That's world police. That is exactly that's how you get everyone to resent you and hate you. I think that she would be so terrifying. I think she'd likely bring us to the brink of World War III. And if she didn't do that, she certainly would have everybody on the planet despising us. I mean, literally despising us for decades. I'm terrified of that woman. She's awful. That's my personal. I mean, look, some people can like the feistiness in her. You know, I understand that. I understand.
I like the feistiness, and I like the fact that she will talk back.
That's the feistiness
to anyone.
Yeah, that's the feistiness, and she definitely. And there's something I can appreciate that. I just think that the message that she sends,
Well, maybe not as VP, but maybe as some other place in the cabinet, because, like I said, I like the feisty side of her.
Yeah, but the feisty side of her wants to basically decapitate anyone who isn't like an American, which is just that's not a healthy way to try and I think she's a terrifying person. And even though I agree with a lot of her takes about the Middle East, at the same time, I don't think that her way of going about it is the healthy answer for that situation either. I think she's dangerous. That's my personal take. Which of my guests do you want to see me have on more?
Your dad.
He's getting a lot of votes here. He's getting a lot of votes. All right.
I mean, I literally have probably watched every time you've had him on at least 3 or 4 times.
Really? Wow, I can't even say I've done that. So it's funny because I have conversations with him about politics now, which I never did before I had this show. But now, because I do this show, so he'll like come to me and talk to me about politics and ask my opinion on stuff. But yeah, I think yeah.
And I know you said not to praise you too much, but I do want to tell you that your show has sparked a lot of change in our lives.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very, very flattering.
For the better.
I appreciate that. I hope so. Otherwise you'd be like, cussing me out right now. So
no, it's been for the better. There's a lot of things I didn't understand, and listening to you cleared them up for me. And
I appreciate that. That's the biggest compliment anyone can give me. So I thank you so much, Anne. You're awesome. You're really awesome. I know that she's a regular hanging out at my locals more often than anywhere else. She's one of my diggers. So I appreciate you, Anne. And I hope you have Merry Christmas, happiest of holidays. And that
I do Hanukkah just like you.
That's what I figured. But I didn't want to guess. Name like Feinstein is pretty Jewish. But I hope that the forthcoming year is a phenomenal year for you and your entire family.
Well, thank you. And my favorite part of the holidays, and I think you'd get a kick out of this. After Hanukkah's over, I love watching those who celebrate Christmas run around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to cram everything into 1 to 2 days, while we sit back and go, "We had 8 days, and y'all are going nuts."
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because I do think that I know that the Christmas dinner is always like a big thing that you hear songs and all these talks about how women just go nuts trying to figure out how they're going to cook for all the guests and family and stuff like that, and how we're going to put everything together. And it's that's what my wife does every Friday. Literally.
That's called Shabbat dinner.
Yeah.
Hello.
She literally does this every Friday. So, but I guess it's almost like anything else. If you're used to doing it, you sort of have your formula down, so it's not nearly the same thing as if you're doing it only once a year. So that's the difference, I guess, in that respect. So.
As when my husband was active duty Army, I can't tell you how many young Army wives would come to me freaking out about Thanksgiving or insert holiday dinner here.
Right.
And I'd be like, okay, first step, take a deep breath. Second step, what is it you're trying? What's your menu? And I back them up and walk them through everything.
And just take it step by step. Figure out what your menu is, and then take it step by step where you get your ingredients and your stuff like that. And
Exactly. And if you take it step by step, it's not as overwhelming. But I love the ones that come to me that, 2 days before they don't have anything in their house and they're panicking. And I'm going, okay.
Right. Well,
those were or the ones that would call me, I can put a turkey in the microwave, right?
oh my God. Oh, Lord.
Oh, yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah. If you want to dangle it off of like a fishing line and treat it like a rubber chicken, you can. So otherwise it's not such a great idea.
Exactly.
All right, Ann. I'm gonna start wrapping this show up here. So I thank you so much, and hope that
I wish you a wonderful year, and I can't wait till you have your dad on again.
Amen. Thank you so much. Have a great night, Ann. Take care.
You as well.
Bye. What's the beef with McEnany? A backstabber too? Yeah. There's that. There's definitely that. There's definitely that. And yeah, she's a neocon. You've got to ask, for me, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard. That's what you want for president and vice president. I know you're a big fan of those two. I know. I forgot to ask you, but I think you've told me that before. You're big fans of both of them. And I'll tell you this much. Of anyone who's not MAGA, I like RFK more than I like anyone from the right who's running right now, aside from Trump or Vivek. Okay? I like him more than DeSantis at this point. Nikki Haley's reptilian shapeshifter form of Hillary Clinton. Yeah, I agree with you on that. That she is I was being kind. I had to walk my father through this, like why it is that, because I think that especially the older generation, I think that they don't really appreciate the nature of neocons. This is one of the things that I think is likely the case. I think that most of the older generation, when I say older generation, I mean a generation like my father's generation in that sort of realm, people who are, let's say, 10 years or more than 10 years older than me. So I think they sort of have a 1980s perspective of Republicans, and they don't realize how much we've learned about what Republicans are over the last 10 years or so. Because if you're not following politics on a daily basis, you're not, it's much, you tend to assume that every war we fought in was noble. You tend to have a lot more trust in a government. You're much more likely to go along with a neocon type of perspective, because you can't appreciate how much has been exposed about the corruptness of these people who are purporting to act under conservative values, and how they claim to be Christian without really acting with genuinely Christian values. It's more a matter of the flexing of the muscle. And I think that's something that we sort of gave them the benefit of the doubt. And those of us who have been following politics on a more regular basis over the last several years have come to realize that they really are a uniparty. They really are the same. And I think that that's spreading. I think people are starting to recognize that. That's why we've seen a rise of populism on both sides of the aisle. That's why people like listening to you and me, V. That's why. Drop says, no, you have to boil the Festivus turkey. Ew, gosh. Oh, yeah. That sounds disturbing. All right. I'm going to wrap this up here. Turn this do not disturb and wrap you up. Okay. Tomorrow I'm going to try and do a locals. And I'm also planning on doing a Christmas show. Next week, I plan on doing like a New Year's type of thing. But I have to figure out exactly how I'm going to do it. But I plan on doing like a New Year's Eve type of thing where I'm going to roll through all of the New Year's. So we can look forward to that. My name is Joe Neerman, but people call me Good Lawgic. If you're still watching me here on X, where apparently some of you are, one of you is, right. Well, welcome. This is my first time streaming to X, and I will see you all, God willing, tomorrow. I hope that whatever your faith is, that tomorrow is a phenomenal day for you and your family. Try and spend some time with your family. You're likely off from work, so it's a good time as any. And I hope that you have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. You should nothing but peace and blessing, and appreciate your fellow man. Not the women, just your fellow man. So be happy and eat the bugs. It's a joke. Relax, ladies. It's a joke. Be happy and eat the bugs. And as always, I say to you, my friends, Godspeed.